Today's show is brought to you in part by Lisa Mattress. Lisa was founded with a simple goal to help people sleep better. With this innovative direct-to-consumer online strategy, Lisa's 100% American-made mattresses are challenging the traditional mattress industry. Did you know that Forbes even named it one of the top 20 startups to watch? Huh. See for yourself why everyone is raving about Lisa by trying it in your home 100 nights risk-free. Right now, you can get $75 off a Lisa mattress with the offer code Bombcast at leesa.com.
Hey, it is Tuesday. What month is it?
September. It's still September.
The 26th.
No one's woken you up yet.
2017. I'm not awake. I stayed up too late last night. You are listening to the scientifically determined,
Yes.
mathematically accurate,
Absolutely.
fully compliant with all
Weighed in
international.
on this.
Yes, fully compliant with all international standards and regulations.
Weights and measures.
500th episode of the Giant Bombcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
They say episodes are just a number. But
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what else goes with that.
That's
But,
that Aaliyah song, right?
but
Yeah.
fucking 500 episodes.
yeah,
that's
that's
great.
give or take.
That's yeah. I mean, okay. So the RSS feed has more than 500 things in it.
Yeah.
But at some point when we switched from dates to numbers, I went through and made judgment calls
Yeah.
about like E3 shows that are in there don't
Yeah.
count.
Not canon.
I started trying to do that, and my indecision, like there are so many judgment calls.
I just
in
went
there.
through and just went like, yeah, yes, no, and
because you know, like we would put up what somewhere between like 5 and 8 things in that feed on
right
on an E3
and
week.
Game of the Year stuff
Game of
would
the
go
Year
in
all
there
went
as
in there.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
So-
a fair number of additional
Also,
things.
we also used to just cram like first couple of years. We just put anything and everything in there.
Exactly,
There's all these
yeah.
little one-off interviews.
Yeah.
And, like there's a thing with Casey Hudson in there, and
Right,
and
yeah.
probably some Johnny V stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
didn't we
you know.
have like gosh, we had it's the guy from Call of Duty, the
right.
community manager
from Treyarch, I think.
from Treyarch
Came
back before he
Yeah.
did some stuff, and I
Yes,
think it
that's
got
right.
drummed out of there.
That's right.
I was the yeah, he said some shit about
I
the
forget what it was.
basketball guy.
Yeah.
It was some real dumb shit.
That's the thing. This podcast has been going long enough for us to have forgotten most of it.
That's I mean, yeah. So 2 weeks then,
I
basically.
mean, honestly,
yeah.
I've forgotten all the episodes from when I joined. So.
yeah. So how does it feel, Ben? I mean, 500 of these
wow,
things.
Yeah.
man, I can barely count to that number.
You were in
Yeah.
like
Just
seventh grade when we brought you on.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Wow, what a ride it's been.
I mean, I think my favorite memory was last week.
Uh-huh.
It was a
Yeah.
good
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a hot show.
Yeah.
That was a hot show last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Like it's we thought about like, oh, this like big numbers coming up. What do you? But the reality of it is like we do one of these things every week.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Like I don't like you stop. Do you stop and go like, hey, we're the greatest? Beat our chests
Look at
about
us.
how rad we are,
Yeah.
and like that's.
I mean, getting to 500, like, I can think of one other podcast, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. I can think of one other podcast that has more than 500 episodes.
who is it? Because we're gonna fucking take them out. We're gonna
bury
stop
them.
these. Who is it?
It's, oh, yeah, dude.
I don't know who those. They're going down.
No, yeah, no, we're taking them out
They're done.
for sure. Sorry, Seth.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. We're coming up on a lot of weird anniversaries around the launch of the site and stuff, because we're coming up on the 10th year anniversary next year. So this year that means there are a lot of like weird personal anniversaries about the things that led to the creation of this site. Sure,
Fans of the site will
remember that come November that have been 10 years since we needed to start a new website. So so I got some thoughts about how to do some stuff around then. I don't know. We started. So I got out in November of 2007. And I feel like it was before. I'd have to go back and look, actually, but it was before the end of 2007. I feel like we were already sitting down and starting to record podcasts for the thing we knew would eventually be the thing.
Yeah.
even though we didn't have, I feel like it was like by that first episode of Arrow Pointing Down, first or second, like I was already collecting a paycheck from Whiskey Media.
Okay. Did you count any of those in the 500?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I yeah, like
scientifically accurate.
Scientifically accurate at the time, and I immediately erased all my work, so that no one could go back and figure. Actually, you could probably work backwards and figure out which ones I did and did not include. But
didn't you and Ryan do some of those over Skype?
we did.
Like, even though you were in the same
we were like a
town?
block away. Like, so it was easier with the gear we had. It was easier to record it over Skype than to get like a
everything
USB
local.
mixer.
Oh yeah, sure.
And
That
two
makes sense.
good microphones, and so we started. Yeah, we did a couple over Skype, and then we did a couple in my living room. Like I had like one good wireless mic from when I was rapping.
Of course,
You have mic will travel
as one does.
Those are the rules. When you were rhyming, so I had that, and then we had like a USB, like literally a fucking Rock Band mic. Like a branded Rock Band USB mic that came with one of the Rock Band packs.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of cobbled together whatever we could record with a laptop in the middle of the room and recorded.
I'm sure the audio quality holds up.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, the thing was, especially back then, I think it's a little different now. I mean, like whatever, podcasting is like a huge fucking business now.
Yeah.
Like then.
But at the time, it was very shoestring.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
totally. And
People
I
didn't
think
know what podcasts
Because
were.
I mean,
Right.
geez, that was, we're talking like early 08. When did the hotspot start? Like 06?
05?
05? So like that's like even the hotspot
Or
was
04?
not that old at that point.
Yeah. Well, it was really strange. So we did, it wasn't last year. It was the year before that we went to that LA podcast festival.
Yeah.
Was it 2 years
Yeah,
ago?
2015. Yeah.
We went down there and, there was a lot of the LA podcast, Doug Benson did his show
Yeah.
and,
Marin
and the McElroys were there.
McElroy's,
and Marin was
Marin.
around there doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of like the kind of the LA comedy podcast scene was around there, and they screened a podcast documentary that kind of implied that podcasting started in like 2014, or
Well, yeah,
like
Serial-
2009.
Serial was the first podcast.
But they were going back before that. But they were talking to people who were like, "Well, I started podcasting in like 2010," and they were treating them like dinosaurs.
Comedy Bang Bang was pretty early in the scene.
But we started in
But,
the hotspot was 04, 05, somewhere around there.
I don't. Like the hotspot introduced me to the idea, or then the term podcast. Like I don't remember another podcast happening in games before. There may have been one.
I
but
want to say that IGN launched a podcast before we did, because we were slow to act. Like when Adam Curry first invented podcasts, I wanted to do one immediately. I was like, awesome. Like I had done some stupid fucking radio with Ryan McDonald and Glenn Rubenstein, like years ago, before like GameSpot, like 92, 93. And it was terrible. It was awful. It was on some kids station. It was a really religious station in Santa Rosa that wanted to have some teen-friendly programming. So we came in and tried very hard not to swear. And then they kicked us off eventually when they changed format. But so I immediately wanted to do a podcast. I was like, that sounds super cool. MP3s, they're all the rage.
Yeah.
They're very hot. So I wanted to do one, but was like met with a little resistance in terms of like we just didn't have the gear to do it, and people were like, "Well, what's the return on the?" So it took me some time to get other people into it and try to get it off the ground. And I think eventually it was one of those things where I was like, "Hey, we should do this," and then it came back around in the form of, "You guys should do a podcast." I'm like, yeah, no shit. But yeah, so I want to say that IGN had started one in that window between me saying, "Hey, let's start a podcast," and us actually starting a podcast. So it was right around. Everyone was kind of like gaming was all right around the same time with that stuff. I think.
then Rich Gallup would stand up
Exactly.
for the entire
Rich Gallup
show.
would stand up on the 6th floor of this studio and
Stand at
up
that
the entire
microphone.
time.
It was
through
amazing.
the duration of the hotspot.
Yeah.
It gave him a commanding presence.
Yeah.
And also he needed to be able to see over the monitors and stuff that were there.
That's a problem in that studio.
yeah.
for
It'd be,
sure.
like, it'd be like if Jason was standing up now,
Yeah.
but only like if the monitors were like way higher.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I sat in that seat for the last couple of years before we came down here, and yes, you
Yeah.
could barely see the people in that room over the screens.
But also the show was like an hour and a half then,
And you just
and
need-
that
you need
seemed
to-
long.
Gotta let the diaphragm expand.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
yeah.
definitely value in standing up to do vocal anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the first thing I knew when I got out of there was I wanted to do a podcast, and so Ryan and I started recording one immediately. Like, we didn't have a name, but we had just come off of a late night drunken like domain registering situation, and he had registered arrow pointing down and
.com. How did nobody have that?
Because it's why would it be arrow pointing? Because it was
that was before the like. I feel like there's been a major uptick in buying funny domain names.
That's
in the
too
last
long
5
to be a
years.
good domain. There's too many letters in that thing.
And also, the internet of 2008 was
totally
quite different from now.
That was 07. That was probably still 07.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I feel like that was in the run up to like Christmas 07, when we had a lot of time on our hands. And
that side note, that was about the first time I started getting the internet.
Yeah, the internet's good. I mean, it was then. Now less. But originally we had registered that domain. The two dumb jokes that we had kicking around at the time were this was like, I want to say this was right around the time that the Impact font was getting solidified as the meme font of choice.
Okay.
But like it hadn't really gotten there yet. So we were into like, we were just going to write non sequitur stupid text on stupid images of ourselves. So we took a picture of me at E3 kneeling on a bed behind some dumb painting, and then just wrote, "You can't beat 100% on it," and put that out there. And then we got really into the dumb idea of like, instead of like shirts that would have like, "I'm with stupid" and like arrow pointing left or right, they would all be shirts that would have an arrow pointing down.
Right.
So it would be "I'm with stupid," arrow pointing down. And then just like I don't even know if we ever recorded anything of us going through that, because that was just like dumb idea after dumb idea of like all the stupid t-shirts we were going to try to make with an arrow pointing down on them. And then none of that came to pass because it became a podcast, and then we immediately had jobs again suddenly. And so none of that ever really came to be. But yeah, we were doing a podcast before the site had a name. So the arrow pointing down thing was always a placeholder or I feel like maybe like the first episode, it was always a placeholder for whatever the next thing was going to be. So actually figuring out the tech of like redirecting that RSS feed to the new site RSS feed and all that other stuff was like weird at the time. But yeah, I don't know. That was the main thing I wanted to do. And it's the main thing I still feel like the strongest about, I think, is I just believe in podcasting.
Yeah.
I always have. And so, I view it as kind of like the cornerstone of what we do, even though, from a business perspective, it hasn't always been that way. We've had, and I was just thinking about it earlier today, when we first came to CBS, the podcast had no ads on it. It's a relatively recent addition. Ultimately, it's like the last 3 years or something.
3 and change.
And so
like well after the fact that many other podcasts had switched to a ad.
Exactly. Yeah. And we tried a few things over the years. Like when we launched our premium subscription service, we talked about splitting the podcast in half and having because it was 2 hours at the time.
Is that all? Really?
I think so.
Dude, how did this thing get so long?
Because none of us shut up. Like,
I guess some of those early,
we enjoy doing it. Like, it's like I
guess that first. I guess a lot of those first episodes were like an hour or something.
Totally,
right?
yeah.
Now there's a 4th hour after the show.
That's right. Now we've started a second show to add. Yeah, I mean, but back then, like podcasting ads weren't proven the way they are now. So we had to figure out like, okay, well, this is the most popular thing we do. We are not selling ads on the site. Like we're launching this premium thing. It makes sense for the podcast to kind of be wrapped up in that a little bit. And so we kind of looked at what I think Jimmy Pardo at the time was running a premium service where it was like the first 20 minutes of the show were free. Yeah. And then if you paid, you got the rest.
It was like basically up until a guest came in.
Right, exactly. So you got like that initial burst of banter, which was a great part of the show, but man, real thin in terms of like what you would get for free. And that was a dramatic change, but like you looked at it and you're like, well, I mean, I like what Jimmy Pardo's doing enough to pay for this. Like, absolutely. So I signed right up. So we looked at that and thought like, okay, well, I think that we should probably look into splitting the podcast apart. We knew it wouldn't be popular. People don't like change. People don't like paying for stuff, like all these things. But we felt like, well, if we can't take the product we feel best about and say, hey, maybe you should give us some money for it, then what are we doing? So that's how we justify it to ourselves. Like the reaction was pretty bad in a way that like actually it was Mike Tatum who caved on it first.
Yeah, I remember.
He was our biz dev guy at the time.
Yeah.
And he kind of kicked the idea off, and I think we were all kind of on board with it. We were like, yeah, I mean, like the change will not go down great, but like I think we believe in what we're doing enough to, and it's popular enough to where we feel like this would be the right business move. And then the reaction was pretty negative, but I was fairly resolute still in like, nah, I it's going to be bumpy, but I still feel like, this, like the ad money wasn't there at the time. So there really weren't a lot of other options. I was like, this seems like it's the right. I remember coming in one morning and Tatum going like, all right, let's get rid of it and we'll do this other thing instead. I'm like,
Didn't he just use it to drive signups? He was
all
right, if we hit this many signups by the end of the week,
I think that's what eventually led to like the world tour ideas and some of that other stuff. We were trying to kick around just a bunch of different ideas for launching like premium at the time, and the world tour thing.
Was that like 2010?
That's probably right. I don't know.
That sounds
the years
right,
run
because
together.
that sounds about. I remember when I was an intern, there was kind of loose talks about that, which was 2011.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe this was a little after.
Maybe the world tour was like a
1
1-year anniversary thing or something. And I'm misremembering, but
still a time when it was kind of a radical idea to say that you should pay for content on the internet.
Yeah, for sure. And
Dave Snyder always.
He
bold vision.
I mean, he had definitely like Dave
fucking
cooked
knew where he wanted to take things and didn't care if they were in fashion or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he was definitely the driving force behind like that push to get into that aspect of the business.
Yeah.
I think something we all kind of knew was eventually going to happen because I mean, the company didn't have an ad salesperson.
Right.
Like we had that dude Kent that came in for a while. Kent was like X Game Trailers.
God, that's right.
And so like we had like the BioShock 2 sponsored quests, and I think Kent was a part of that.
Yeah.
There was like a BioShock 2 fish tank.
Like every few months we would have some deal.
Yeah,
like
there was like that Assassin's Creed Swim thing that I think came in.
The NTSF
thing,
SUV,
which I was super against.
I've still got one of those hoodies with Luchadir dressed up like Ezio.
Right. Yeah, I have one of those.
Killing either me or Ryan. I can't remember which one.
Yeah. Yes, that NTSF thing I was super against because it was like
I was there for that.
There was like it was here are the people that do the content appearing in it was custom content. And Ryan hosted it, and I was like, "This is fucking. I don't want to be anywhere fucking near this thing."
Yeah.
And they did it, and I don't think anyone complained. So it is what it is. But I felt pretty bad about that thing back then. But yeah, so I don't know. We ended up dropping the podcast stuff, the splitting the podcast stuff, and kind of moving forward. Premium did really well for us out of the gate, and has only grown. And then that's been cool. But yeah, when we got here, the bandwidth discussion happened all over again in terms of like people going like, man, this podcast sure does suck a lot of bandwidth. And it was like the most it drove me fucking insane, man. It was like, so you're telling me I'm doing my job. You're telling me that I have created a popular piece of fucking content.
But it's too popular.
Yeah. Oh, it's just too much. It's
maybe dial it back a little bit.
And I was like, well, you should probably sell some ads on this thing then, huh? We should probably figure out how to monetize this incredibly popular piece of content, huh? Right? And kind of no one could or would. And we have ended up going
only so many people can sign up for audible.com.
Right, yeah. Well, we went with an external ad firm at some point. It was like, okay, well, we're going to do this stuff ourselves.
I feel like the diversity of podcast ads has exploded in the past year, let's say.
I think there are still a ton of there are a lot of mainstream brands that have like only done limited stuff with podcasts.
Yeah.
The ads work. I mean, like that's the reaction we get from the company that sells our ads, and also the folks out there seem to enjoy them to a certain extent. It's the old radio model of the host reading the ad the way Howard Stern probably still does, but not like a little more thoughtful than that stuff, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. We ended up kind of going with an external firm a few years ago and signed on with them and got some actual ads on these podcasts. And it's been fascinating to watch like the podcast business grow and change over the course of this stuff too, to where now this is a pretty big tent pole of our revenue for the year or whatever, along with subscriptions.
Pie charts.
Pie charts.
I like pie.
A huge section of the pie chart is this podcast.
It's a slice.
Yeah. And the Giant Beast Cast increasingly as well. And that's been cool to see over these 500 plus weeks
of
over these 10 years of podcasts that we are about to
Do we
cross
have any
into.
sort of number of how long, if you were to listen to all the...
Someone,
I'm sure somebody has that count.
Folks out there have
Cool.
definitely done the math on the raw minutes.
Definitely
of-
seen like 4-figure numbers floating around.
Yeah, it would take you a long time
Yeah.
to listen to this stuff.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
I think I'll just close by saying that on the way into work, I saw somebody tweet that Kurt Loder is 72.
wow.
Whoa.
And that was a real
That's-
wow.
yeah.
Everybody's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I guess so.
When he was on that episode of Portlandia a couple years ago, he looked pretty good. So
Yeah,
doing well for himself.
Yeah.
Bobby the Brain Heenan just passed away at
know.
72, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
I would not have put Kurt Loder and Heenan at the same age, but
Yeah.
but I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of tent poles,
Mm-hmm.
we got this shirt.
Oh,
We're selling a shirt to commemorate the 500th episode of this podcast
Yeah.
at store.giantbomb.com. If you're watching the video version, I'm holding it up to a camera. Jason, is that good there?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like doing video only stuff for the show, but for this case, I'll
Look at that
make it
guy.
subsist
I
on
love
the back.
that.
The
It's
balloon
really good.
animal.
I love the balloon animal luchador.
Yeah, that's fucking fantastic.
so good.
I actually super like this bomb with headphones thing on the front too.
Wacky frantic bomb.
Yeah, we might do something else.
He's
with
spending
this,
his
with
last
this bomb,
moments
Yeah.
on Earth listening
Yeah.
to the Giant Bombcast.
as we all should.
Is that another Dan Hour joint?
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout
yeah,
out
it
to
is.
Dan
Yeah,
Hour.
Dan
He was on UPF on Friday.
Yeah.
He's been doing a bunch of
Yeah,
our
he
stuff.
did the Murder Island shirt. He did the
Yeah.
heavy metal luchador shirt.
He does
as
good,
well.
good work for
Yeah,
sure.
he's done some awesome stuff. He is currently in doing mock-ups and stuff for the site redesign as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
That'll probably be a next year thing, I'm guessing, but I don't actually know. There's no firm ETA on it.
That stuff looks good too.
Yeah. So I don't know. We've done 500 of these things. We're on the message boards. Rory posted something looking for like people's memories of the show and that sort of stuff. Like, I don't think any of us really wanted to just turn this episode into a clip show or anything weird like that. But we do.
It's the worst sitcom move.
But we do want to hear from y'all about your favorites, and maybe we'll try to piece something together maybe next year.
I'm just thinking about it now. Can you imagine doing a clip show with YouTube being a thing where there's already compilations out there?
Yeah.
YouTube has basically killed
Yeah.
the clip show.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was when we first got here. I feel like one of the big ideas that GameSpot was floating at the time was a clip show of YouTube clips, like putting together a show of like gaming highlights and stuff like that
Yeah.
From other channels?
from other channels, and giving them
Oh.
credit and stuff like that,
Oh.
and all that. Like, yeah, that's absolutely like they're low. I mean, we produce the best of Giant Bomb, which is effectively a hostless clip show.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways too. So, yeah. Go us, I guess. I don't know. Like it feels like celebrating your own birthday or
Yeah,
something.
that
It's like a.
We talked before, like the last couple of weeks. I was like, how much fanfare should we imbue this with? And
Yeah.
like you made that analogy of like, it's like having your own birthday party, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that kind of like
I don't know. If I
self-congratulating attention.
turned 500, I would throw a pretty fucking good party.
Would you, or would you be like, kill me? This shouldn't have gone on past 100. Yeah.
But episode 1000, we're pulling out all the stuff.
That's where it's going to
that's
go. Or maybe 520. Then
That's
it's
right.
like literally 10 years of regular podcasts at that point.
Yeah, that's
true.
right? I
That's
don't
true.
know.
Yeah, I mean, like you kind of mentioned earlier, but we're looking more at 10-year stuff
Yeah.
rather than 500 episodes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
stuff is all approaching for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Game of the Year's coming up pretty soon. We've
Yeah.
started talking about that.
Ooh.
Man, shit just keeps going.
Yeah,
It don't stop around
Indeed.
here. So
indeed.
I'm
yeah.
excited to get mad at everyone at my first game of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We're gonna have some new personalities in here.
Shit gets heated. Ben, you ready for it?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Some new head-to-head scenarios springing up.
just
It's gonna be exciting.
just to come up with the worst possible arguments you can and just deliver them with authority.
Here's my tip, which I have already started, is start thinking about who is going to go with what.
Oh, start forming alliances.
thinking about the alliances that you might,
All right.
that you
Trading
might
votes,
forge.
filibustering.
Just remember that they're all alliances of convenience.
okay.
Until
They're not built to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you want to do what we do on this podcast? Talk about video games?
Oh, I don't know. I guess.
I thought we mostly talk about scorpions.
Scorpions. Let's not talk about scorpions.
Okay, good.
What?
Here I am.
Okay.
All right.
Those scorpions.
I'm
I'll
starting
talk
a
about.
spin-off podcast about the scorpions.
I'll talk about those scorpions all day long.
Yeah. And occasionally we get into rat, weirdly enough, which I didn't expect. But here we go.
I wasn't planning to ask about this until it set the internet on fire this morning. But what faction is everybody going to pledge in faction rally?
Future War Cult.
Yeah.
Is my Destiny 2 faction of choice.
That is just a badass name.
I
Yeah.
fully
I like the
agree.
color scheme.
Fully agree. I can't. Somebody in our clan referred to it as a fucking NASCAR pit crew color scheme,
Really?
and now I can't. Now I can't not think about that. They definitely have the best name
Yeah.
for sure.
And they got the cool meeting space. It's like up above the
Yes,
hangar.
yes.
Those
Their
really nice
weird
chairs
little
and shit.
meditation chamber with the big windows was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
So is this like a week-long thing?
Yes, it's.
Okay.
I think it wraps up next week.
I'm trying to pull the names up now because I can't remember.
It's New Monarchy,
New
Future
Monarchy
War
is the other
Cult,
one, Dead
and
Orbit.
Dead Orbit.
That's right.
Come on, how do you not? No.
My first impulse was to go with Dead Orbit because
Yeah.
Space Goth Peter Stormare is a pretty.
And didn't they have the best
Enticing.
guns in the first game?
Yeah, they had the Hung Jury, which was
Yeah.
one of the best guns in all of Destiny.
I remember having to switch to Dead Orbit against my will at one
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
specifically to get
Yes.
that.
But the guns look kind of whatever.
They do.
I feel more so than Destiny 1, a lot of the items in this game seem like sort of like whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Like it's not to say that they're bad. It's that they went out of their way to kind of just make everything good, which is
Yeah.
almost the opposite problem of like, none of this matters.
Well, at this point, I have almost everything I want. Like, I'm
Right.
kind of done with Destiny 2 until December,
I
or
think
whenever that
yeah,
DLC
you're
comes
right.
out.
I sort of hit that point too. I got to the point where I did all the missions. Like I got all the mission-based guns, and I was just like, oh, this is what Brad was talking about being done with Destiny.
Well,
And
you guys haven't rated yet, which
Yeah,
actually
right.
we are going to
Yeah.
undertake tomorrow morning.
so I
but-
mean,
That's right.
That's
Bright
the last
and early.
thing. And then there's weekly resets.
yeah,
and all
there's
that,
I mean,
but,
there's like stuff to tinker with every week.
there's
but, like,
no more me sitting down by myself and being like, oh, I mean, I guess I could just do some strikes or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, last night I confirmed my suspicion that 305 is the hard level cap in the game.
Okay.
I'm at 302 right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much else to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at 289,
Yeah.
I think.
You guys,
so-
you guys will come out of the raid with stuff. Like,
Yeah, I'm
that will-
looking forward to doing the
that
raid,
will
even
go
though
up.
I've heard mixed things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the 2 raids I ran in the first game,
Yeah.
and I think we'll have fun doing it.
Is there anything
Hopefully.
specific I'll be getting, or just
No,
am I going to
it's
get
just
like
chance of
stuff
drops.
to like feed into my current stuff?
Well, it'll
It's
be
unique items.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bunch of unique items.
All right.
which multiple of which drop if you're in a clan. Like I just got the auto rifle out of the raid today because you did the raid last night.
I just dropped in and helped somebody beat
Yeah,
the boss,
and-
actually.
and that was enough.
We got us the clan.
So I got an auto rifle that is
I
very
went-
opulent.
I went from another 7-0 trial streak last night straight into helping somebody beat the boss.
Well, all right,
of the
great.
raid. That was my cue to not play Destiny anymore for a while.
Yeah.
Until tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll run the raid.
Well, that's for the site. Like that's like, hey, let's get everybody on video doing this. And then,
Yeah, that'll be
then
that'll
I'm
be
gonna-
fun.
I'm going to take a Destiny break.
We'll figure out like what the rules are for when we are okay turning to
Asking
you for
Brad
help.
Yes.
help, yeah.
Yes.
Break for
You guys-
Brad.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys are going to for sure bang your heads against stuff for a while, but nobody wants to just sit there and watch you get frustrated. So.
Yeah, we're streaming it, so it's like we want
They
to
wanna
try to
see a
stream us
little bit
figuring
of
it out,
that,
but past a certain point, it's like all right, let's just.
I mean, what I can do is drop little quiet hints
Yeah.
and steer you guys in the right direction.
Yeah.
And you can
I want
still,
you to
you can
devise-
still feel like you figured it out.
I want you to devise a series of like hints in like rhyme and just like
I just want like the LucasArts hint book style
Riddles
very
and-
general thing, and then I just read the last
Should
one that
I-
says, "Go here, do this."
Oh,
I'm like, okay.
I should write some rhymed couplets tonight.
Yes.
Oh, to seed here and there. That's not the worst idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't even going to bring the game up until I saw everybody getting super invested in their faction choice.
Hey,
Yeah.
kinda
For like aesthetic and
Yeah.
like narrative reasons.
As
even.
soon as I saw like they showed what the shaders look like, and they
Yes.
listed all the items and stuff for the, I was like, oh, Future War Cult, which I was going to
Yeah.
go with anyway because they're definitely the best. But
that is the source of my internal conflict because I was going to make my choice purely on the shaders I liked best, which were New Monarchy. Until people started pointing out on Twitter that they are like literal neo-monarchists that
yeah,
want to overthrow.
Oh,
Like
cool.
They want to instate like an unassailable ruler.
Good.
I mean,
They have a manifesto.
Hey,
Like, people dug it out of the lore.
I bet you all three of those factions are that, but they're the worst at hiding it.
Maybe. I don't know.
No faction is like, we want to be number 2, and we want like. No, I don't.
Engrams for everyone.
I mean, the final point of the 7-point plan of monarchy is like literally we want to overturn the consensus and replace it with a sovereign ruler.
Sovereign unimpeachable ruler,
Yes.
I believe is the phrase they use.
And now I don't know that I feel good about wearing their shader, even though it's all red and gold.
Also, their final gun is a
Cool.
sidearm, which those are my least favorite weapons in Destiny.
Same.
We also got a chicken dinner yesterday.
We did.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Yeah. That was long time coming.
Yes.
For sure.
I was working from home and decided to tune in. I had a few minutes, and it was like right at the point where it was like 10 people left.
Yeah.
So I came in at just the right
That was a
time.
real good,
That
fun,
was
tense
fantastic.
last 3 to 5 minutes in that circle.
The fog is interesting in that game, and what it does to the balance of ranged weapons versus up close shit, and all that sort of stuff is pretty fascinating, I think. And so we won in the fog.
It lets you creep around in a way that you can't when
Right.
the visibility's higher.
Yeah, it makes it safer for the style of play I am better at than the actual long range shooting that is key to being actually good at the game.
Yeah.
So we won.
Jason, do you play that game?
PUBG?
Yeah.
Still have not played it yet.
That means I'm technically the only one on staff without a chicken dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Well,
Just good to know.
Yeah.
Good to have a goal. It's
Yeah.
all about having a goal and realizing it.
that's right. That's right.
Probably worth mentioning, we kind of almost played the Xbox One version of that game a couple weeks
Oh,
ago.
yeah,
at that
I played it.
Xbox event.
We played what Microsoft is
Yes,
showing.
we played what they offered as the Xbox One version, but
Which
I think
is
it was
a
not.
PC
It was a
that-
PC build running like I think they said it was Xbox One X specs.
They're saying the PC was built to kind of resemble Xbox One X. You can't.
Right.
It's not.
It's hard to say. I mean, we can't say explicitly we played it on the console,
Right.
but
I mean,
they said that's basically what it was going to be.
The PC game has controller support in it already, so it wasn't. It was just kind of.
Yeah.
So I will say I got second at that event.
At that event,
I got 0 kills.
Okay, all right, that's one way to play it.
I got the problem was I got an 8x scope and aiming on the controller with the sensitivity the way it was impossible. But I found out later after the fact you can adjust it for individual scope. You have individual scope sensitivities.
That's smart.
So if I was going to play on controller, I could theoretically go in there, bump down the sensitivity a ton. But
also they have it hooked up to presumably live servers, so you're playing against a bunch of other people using a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Like I got 1 kill playing on a controller, and I felt like that was a chicken dinner for me. I was like, oh, thank God, great.
Yeah, my first encounter that I saw somebody, I tried to aim and like pull up, and I just like
not.
straight pointed straight at the sky. Like I was just whoa. Also the weird aiming stuff they have in that game, where like you can hold to look down sights, or you can tap it to snap and stuff. Like that plays a little weird on a controller.
Yeah. I wonder. It left me wondering how much work they'll do for the controller support. Beyond what's already in there.
Like the looting and gear interface didn't
Yeah.
quite feel like it was there for a controller either.
It's that it needs a lot of work to really work there. I think.
Yeah,
they're doing a custom map for Xbox, right?
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
I
Yeah.
guess
Or
that's
like
not what
an
they were showing.
exclusive one. Is it going to be exclusive to Xbox?
I believe that was the case, at
wonder.
least for some chunk of time, but
Okay.
I don't know. I saw some people theorizing that map had fewer large open areas
I have
that
seen
might hit
people
a frame
saying
rate.
that. I can't confirm that, but that's
I don't
definitely
know.
a running theory.
I don't know. I think that game will probably do fine on consoles once everyone is on a console and using the same control input and all this other stuff.
And used to
It'll
the
be that-
feel of it.
Yeah. And hopefully they'll continue to do work to the controls, because I think the default PC console or default PC controller controls are not there yet.
It's not surprising in the PC, because who's going to play that way?
Exactly.
Like they haven't put any time into it because nobody cares.
I'm assuming they have put some time
Well,
into
or
it.
that's
but
not a focus. It's not a
yeah,
design focus right now.
Probably not.
I also walked away from playing that saying to myself, I should buy a Pro controller or Elite controller.
Is that what they had there? I can't remember.
Yeah. And then I did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Smart move.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a good controller.
So I like it. It comes so for anyone out there who wants to buy one, it comes with a carrying case, which you should probably use, because when I put it in my backpack and brought it to my friend's house and pulled it out, the thumbstick had popped off
Oh,
because
right,
you
'cause
can
it's
swap those
all
out.
removable, yeah.
And it was I couldn't find it because it's this little thing.
You lost it?
Yeah. So,
that
but
sucks.
I have 2 more because it's customizable. It was
Yeah.
just my favorite one. Is
Oh,
now
that's
gone.
a bummer.
So I guess I'm just gonna bring a carrying case for my controller when I need it.
Yeah. It's a
Hell of a controller.
It's a hell of a
otherwise, though.
controller. I've been using that on the PC for some time, and like it a lot. It's a good thing. But I don't use like they have like buttons on the back, like all those like kind of
for like macros,
scuff
right?
style. Like it's not even macros. It's like just the buttons mapped to that also.
Oh, I see. I didn't really look at that
Yeah,
stuff.
you
'cause
can choose
I
how
know
it's
wasn't gonna
mapped.
use
There's
it.
a Xbox One app, and then also an Xbox
right,
app on
and
the PC.
I saw that you can
use to
change
kinda map
per
that stuff.
game. Like
Right.
you can have per game settings. That's really cool.
That stuff's neat.
I'm a little disappointed Sony hasn't just ripped that concept off completely.
Yeah, and just like here's
I
our
would
high-end
love
controller.
something like that. I mean, I know there are third-party ones on the PS4, but
Yeah.
not quite the same.
You want to get turbo so you can
Yeah.
cheat at Street
No,
Fighter.
I actually just
Yeah.
want a DualShock 4 where the rubber doesn't wear off my analog sticks after
Yeah.
a few months.
Someday they'll get
Or how
there.
about a good D-pad?
Even the one that came with my Pro last year, that's happening again. It's like,
Yeah.
how are you guys still?
I don't mind the D-pad on the PS4.
Oh, I think it's
controller.
fine. It's good.
Considering for
I think
most
it's good.
games you're using it as like a second set of buttons
Yeah.
for toggles and stuff, but even
It's fine for like platformers and stuff. Like
I
I'm not gonna.
felt it was okay for Windjammers and some of the fighting game stuff. Like I played a lot of Tekken on it and didn't have any trouble.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what would be a good D-pad for you, like current gen?
I like the 360 D-pad. I know
Transforming one or the disc one.
the like disc one.
What?
Maybe
Fucking
it's
hate
because
that thing.
I got used to it because I was playing
Whoa.
I was mostly using it to play Zangief in Street Fighter 4, and it's
Okay.
real easy to do a 360
Oh,
on
sure.
that because you can just roll
Sure,
it real
yeah.
easy.
I mean, if you're coming at this from the perspective of fighting games, that's like its
Yeah.
whole own set of needs that most games. don't
But
share.
and then for most other games, I would just use the stick, and so the pad being like a weird circle thing wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
I also like the placement of the thumbstick on the 360 controller. I like having the thumbstick more to the left rather than the pad.
Right. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I can
Yeah,
see
I love the feel of a 360 controller, that D-pad.
They're kind of hard to
I
go
can't
back
do
to
it.
these days.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, I
I've
agree.
spent so much time
Yep.
with Xbox One controllers and PS4 controllers that when I get a 360 controller in my hand, it's like, it feels almost cheap, or the
Yeah.
triggers
Something
don't
feels
have enough
dated about it.
fidelity, or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so
Still
strange.
dig it, but
Also, it's probably that like most of the controllers that I come into contact with, the analog sticks are worn, so like the nubs are just
And they're like a little bit
gone.
of dingy.
Yeah, I'm
pretty sure-
those feel like I hate when that happens.
I'm pretty sure
It feels
some of the
gross.
360 controllers we have in the studio here are from the 360 launch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably
or close to it.
old fucking controllers.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Battlegrounds. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. And now
As
we
it
can
turns out.
now we can maybe play a little less of it
Yeah.
for a bit and play some other stuff.
Yeah, well, I think we want to get into some custom game stuff
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
more.
I think
like,
that's the
that
stuff
was
to explore.
so we'll probably dip into that here and there.
I don't know if you guys are interested, but Will Smith hit me up yesterday since we have custom game access. He
Right.
proposed the idea of running a PUBG school, like a shooting
oh,
range.
neat.
Like he wanted
yeah.
he wanted us to set up a firing range custom game and just let him come in and explain like a bunch of bullet drop stuff
That
and
would
like
be
Yeah,
really
I-
good.
I
give
would-
everybody the same gun and just say, okay, here's how you can estimate your distance. And
I want
Right.
him
We
walking
need to do
around
that.
like adjusting our
orders.
posture.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, we should maybe do that.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
we have to do that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
only if we can get a virtual Will Smith with us also.
Yeah.
If he could get his foo model in the
Right.
game, I'm down.
Oh man, that would be so fuck. But only if it was like his giant floating head,
Just above us, floating around.
like low poly Will Smith model, just yelling from the sky.
That would be pretty good.
That should be the spectator controls in that game.
Yeah.
Just a fucking giant flying head,
Giant head flying around.
that barks at you.
Yep.
That'd be, yeah.
Have you played anything else besides Destiny? PUBG?
Gosh, let's see. I have continued to play Heat Signature, which I still really like. It's clunky. It's not that it's clunky. It's that it's visually everything is so small, or the characters don't pop from the background well enough. They've had to add a glow to a lot of characters in that game.
Like post-release?
No. But like the characters have to have kind of a glow on them when you hover a mouse cursor near them, just to light up like, hey, there's a person standing here. And I'm not sure how much of that is like a color blindness thing for me specifically, but also just like sometimes I walk into a room and go, oh fuck, there's a guy standing here because I'm playing too fast. That game is, you're meant to pause and a lot and think over your actions, but in reality, for most of the ships, you don't really need to. So I played a little too fast and loose, and it's caught me out there a little bit too much. But heat signature, the like stealing shit off these spaceships and getting all kinds of weird gear to play around with that are fun tools to let you steal stuff from spaceships in slightly different ways. It's a good, fun loop of generated content that I'm digging.
I thought the way that they handle failure and like death, quote unquote, in that game was really cool. Where if you get hit, you get knocked out and then thrown out the airlock, and you're in space, and you have like 30 seconds or so of oxygen. But then every time that happens, you call your ship to come pick you up, and you go back in. But every time it happens, you have less and less oxygen to deal with out in space.
So next time you get knocked out, might be 6. I got it down to 6 seconds at one point. I was like, okay, I'm gonna retire. I retired a character. Because you just pick another character and keep moving. When you retire a character, you actually get to name an item. You get to take an item out of your inventory, give it a different name, and then it kind of makes its way into the chests of your game and your friends, your Steam friends game.
Oh, cool. Wow, that's neat.
The stuff that propagates across like your Steam friends in Heat Signature is fascinating, because it'll be stuff like that where you just like, oh, here's an item with a really stupid name because my Steam friends are assholes, or characters of theirs that got captured that you're trying to rescue. And stuff like that is cool.
Have you ever seen anything that you were just like instantly like, yep, I know who that is from?
It says who it is.
Oh,
when you hover over it, it shows you.
Yeah,
it shows the username. So you get that little bit of info. That is still a lot of fun. We put a video up on the site last week.
Yeah, I need to try that.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, there's that. What's the name? Is it Light Drift? I think just came out on PS4.
Light Drifter?
Light Drifter might be right.
I should look that up.
That sucks.
Yes, I saw that come out, and that looks cool.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna play it on PS4. It is a futuristic racing game, and you're a ship, and you can float, you can fly wherever you want. But there are 2 buttons basically of throttle and like grip to a surface. So you can kind of you can grip to any surface you want, go any which way. And so the tracks kind of bend all around these structures. So you kind of want to like launch off of a surface and then grip to the new one and get a little bit of a speed burst. And you're kind of looking around at different ways you can go. And it's interesting. I'm not sure if it's like good long-term, but the first couple of tracks that I played, I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. It might just be like a little too thin for like long-term use here.
Still trying to find
it. I can't find the game.
Hyper Light Drifter makes this game very hard to Google for.
It does. I want to say it's okay. I'm going to pull my laptop out now, and we're really going to get into this because I know exactly how to find it as soon as my laptop connects to the internet. But it's got a very cool look to it, like nice polygonal kind of chunky environments and stuff. It's very free form. Like you load into an environment and a time trial immediately starts happening. And so like as soon as you cross the start line, a bunch of CPU opponents pop right in as like ghosts for you to race against and stuff like that. It does have online play, but I haven't actually been able to try that because I was playing it before it was out. But it's got a cool look. Maybe we'll take a look at that this
Light
week.
Tracer?
No.
Oh my God. This is
all right. My Wi-Fi finally just connected, so I'm gonna refresh this page.
This game's really hard to find,
and I should be able to tell you in a couple of seconds here by looking at my trophies. Yeah. So it makes a good first impression. And yeah, maybe we'll take it's a very slight thing, so it might be more of a UPF kind of game than a full-on quick look, but maybe we will take a look at it here. Let this page load up, and I will be able to tell you it is Light Field. God damn it!
All right,
okay,
terrible.
There we go.
Light Field.
Light Field
now.
Yeah, I saw a trailer of that, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting look. Yeah. Interesting look for sure. That's the bulk of what I've been messing with.
All right.
That's new anyway. I've been kind of still playing Destiny and fits and starts here.
I occasionally hate myself for playing it because it's so easy to just sink back into it, you know?
I feel like
Destiny?
I think once I'm done with the raid, I will maybe do some of the powerful gear quests like that reset every week,
like here and there.
But maybe not. I think after the raid, I might be done until they add something.
That's the right way to go.
Yeah, I feel like I'll be there to hop in for Nightfalls once in a while, but I can't see myself doing much more after the raid.
I mean, I guess it's the same reason that people play Diablo incessantly. You know, like it's familiar, it's comfortable. It's like you can just sort of sink into the couch and just play it for a little bit and not think
done
too much.
Really well with the social aspects of the game too, where like you kind of. It's the like you want to get together. Like I pulled out a fucking headset for this game. Like that's.
I spent 20 minutes with strangers just in the tower. Like it started with 2 people kind of standing next to each other, and then eventually there was 6 of us all emoting and like forming circles and just like goofing off. And I didn't know any of these people. Took screenshots because it was a lot of fun, and I was like, I literally haven't been doing anything for almost 20 minutes.
I mean, there's a 100 fun like ways to waste time with that game, but like at a point it starts feeling like wasting time. You know, like
that sucks because that reminds me of like my PSO days. You know, hanging out in lobbies and kicking balls around.
Well,
having a good time that way, but there's always something to look forward to. Like you could always go down and hope for that new spread needle or something. Like that.
Well,
this has that.
This does have that too. But eventually,
like a cap on stuff.
Eventually you kind of get to a point with the gear that you've seen.
So I'm
most of it.
You know how it says you can infuse up to 350. I'm pretty sure 350 is like the year 1 limit.
Yeah,
like I'm sure they're going to inch toward 350 with the DLCs, and that's probably where we'll be at a year from now.
But it's like it does some of that same stuff that PSO did. Absolutely.
We actually had emails this week asking how much you guys felt like it scratches the PSO itch
a lot.
Specifically.
I mean, definitely. It's it's a console Diablo. You know, but now there actually is a good console Diablo game, so it's kind of that's a weird comparison.
But I guess that's the thing I feel like right now it's kind of lacking is that it seems like Diablo. Granted, Diablo is like 5 years old at this point.
Sure.
But like Diablo's got the seasons and like rifts and all that stuff. Like it seems like it has more repeatable stuff at the end game at the high level.
And there's also multiple difficulties you can run through levels on.
Diablo has like more procedurally generated content.
I think that's really what it is.
So but even if it is like these prefab pieces that are coming together, it at least is enough for you to feel like you're doing something different. And there's always the additional levels to tack on your prestige levels, or I forget what they even call them, Paragon levels. To tack onto your character, so you're still growing, in perpetuity in that game. I think, and so that stuff gives you something to keep going for, whereas Destiny is like, rerun this same content again in the same way.
I mean, they do have the modifiers in the Nightfall and stuff like that, but I think they don't change it up the way that... And
I mean, the trade-off there is there's nothing in Diablo that comes close to some of the visual experiences of running those strikes for the first time.
Well, that's the thing, like the isometric overhead type levels in Diablo are very different from like hand-built shooter levels.
I had hoped that we live in a post-snap map world, man. Like, don't tell me it's not possible. But I had hoped that when they first started talking about their open areas and the lost caverns as like things for people to do in those worlds, I was really hoping that these lost caverns would be repeatable content that would be different every time.
Yeah.
Just like somewhat procedurally generated.
Right, exactly.
Is that what the rifts are in Diablo?
Yeah.
I can't get
more or less
Diablo terminology straight. But
you go into these things and they're kind of randomized, and they'll have different modifiers on them and all that sort of stuff. And it's not one a week. It's as many as you can get into with the items you have. Yeah. And so that game is there for you no matter what, with something that you haven't quite done, even if you may have seen all the modifiers and stuff. Like it still will throw it together. Yeah. So you can get a lot more out of the end game in a game like Diablo than what Destiny has. Yeah. And that's a shame. I had hoped that they would kind of learn from that stuff and try to have something that you could kind of get into, because you do form friendships, and there's social aspect, like there's you got a lot of podcasts to listen to, like whatever it is. Like Destiny is a really good podcast game, a really good voice chat game for just like, I'm hanging out with my friends and we're doing a thing we haven't done before. But if it's like we're hanging out with friends, you're doing the Nightfall. Sometimes the Nightfall is just on the side of demanding that requires you to be focused in a way that like you kind of don't want for your repeatable content.
Did you do it last week?
No.
It's horrible.
Awful.
Yeah. One of the mechanics was you don't heal automatically. Great. Like you have to kill enemies and pick up a thing they drop to heal.
And there's one area
really
where you
rotten.
are just in it for 8 minutes, and you have to keep running back to your ghost and hitting the button.
And to get time back, you have to find these tiny little hidden objects that are not super easy to see.
Yeah, I heard about them.
To shoot. But this week sounds amazing. It's a 22-minute timer with no way to get time back, but all your abilities recharge super fast.
That's
so
fun.
you can just like super your way through the whole mission.
Hey, you guys want to do the
That sounds really fun. Like that stuff is sort of valuable, but yeah, like I'm at a ceiling.
Only if we can finish up the last step of the Rat King stuff.
I need that too.
So
I'm at a ceiling where I don't feel like I'm going to play much more of it.
Yeah.
So to your point though, like the main reason I feel guilty about dumping time into it is just because like we have Game of the Year coming up and there's all these other games I should be playing. Like that's if you know, if you've got the free time and you enjoy doing it, there's nothing wrong with playing way too much Destiny.
Totally.
Our unique position. But
it's for sure.
I cracked into Ruiner.
Yeah.
Tell me about this game. Holy shit, this looks...
It's got so much like visual swagger to it.
I was just watching
like,
Brad go through the menus, and I was already like, "This game looks fucking."
I mean, it's
good.
it's 80s cyberpunk anime as hell, like just top to bottom. Like that's exactly what it's trying to be.
Right.
And it does it super
video
well.
ads playing on walls.
Yes, video ads all over the place, and like a lot, like some like Eastern mysticism in the slums, and lots of VHS looking effects all over the place.
Yeah.
Your character's face is just a like LED screen kind of thing, and they put all kinds of weird stuff on there, like in not like cutesy dumb like Watch Dogs emoji stuff, but like more like you have to see it. It's some weird stuff.
Is it like there was the Cobra communications officer in G.I. Joe.
With the thing, the scrolling visor.
The scrolling of the
Not
visor.
really.
You'd see backwards words scrolling across it occasionally.
Like they'll just throw weird phrases on there. Like there are dialogue scenes where you pick like very vague responses to people, and those what's on your face will change along with the choice you pick.
Yeah.
Like they'll throw like commercials on your face occasionally and just weird stuff like that.
Fucking don't give them any more ideas.
It seems really cool. I'm not as far in as I would like because they did the thing that I can't resist, which is to describe the hard difficulty as like the one that you should play.
God damn it.
I hate it. Like I can't like
Brad, stop doing this to yourself.
Like I think
this is intervention status on this stuff.
Like I think in this case the description is like developers recommended is the way they describe the hard like ever since fucking was it Halo 3 Heroic?
I
think it was or was it Halo 2?
I think it was. I want to say
maybe even the first one. I don't know.
It's at least Halo 2. Probably.
Ever since like the way Halo was meant to be played.
Right.
Like I can't resist picking whatever difficulty is described along those lines.
Fuck that. That's a terrible.
And then it took me like half a dozen tries to beat the tutorial boss on hard.
Oh my god,
that's a good sign.
Really hard
to not continue to do.
It's really
that.
hard, but I haven't busted it down yet.
Okay.
Straight up, if it's truly the way the game was meant to be played, make it the fucking default setting. Call it fucking normal then.
Yes.
Stop trying to be all fucking chest out like, oh well, we think you should play it slightly harder. Well, fuck you. Fucking make it normal then. Make it if you think the game is best at this difficulty, then just default to that out of the gate.
Yeah.
Fucking go all in on it.
That makes me think that they made the game and it didn't have difficulty options, and playtesters were like, I can't beat it, and so they're like, oh, I guess we'll make a medium difficulty, but
like it's just got this fucking like lame bravado around it. When I just think it just looks shitty. To be fair, it sends really mixed messages in terms of like, hey, we've got a default setting. It's like, oh well, if I play this, am I not cool like you guys? Like it just sucks.
Or use nondescript ones like Doom or just like. I like difficulty settings that give you an emotional feel of like give me hell. What was it? It was like
Hurt Me Plenty.
Like
Ultra-violence.
That stuff is good because you're like, okay, I can kind of get a vibe here of what I want.
Doom was fantastic on Ultraviolence. Like that was the way to play that game.
Sure, but
but that game that was manageable. That was totally manageable.
And it didn't say this is the way Doom is meant to be played.
Yeah. This is like punishingly difficult.
Anyway,
it has a huge skill tree, and it looks like a lot of those skills would really help your survivability on hard.
Give me some nitty gritty.
It's a dual joystick action game.
And
okay.
Really? No.
Oh.
There's just so many.
A lot of different weapons, or like is it like pickups, like time limited pickups?
Yeah. So you have a pistol called the Ruiner, which seems like it's unlimited ammo, but then enemies drop a bunch of weapons that have very limited ammo.
Okay.
So like you might not get through an entire encounter with the weapon you just picked up off a guy before it's out of bullets. You got melee weapons. You've got a like 3-step dash that you can pop off like almost as fast as you can hit the button.
Okay.
But then it goes on a cooldown, so you kind of have to be careful about not using all your dashes.
Is it invincible?
I think one of the ability unlocks is add more invincibility to the dash.
Gotcha. Okay.
what else was I going to say about it?
Is it single screen? Is it scrolling? Like
it scrolls around.
Okay,
but like at least again, I'm not super far in. I might have to
like forced scroll, like a Total Carnage.
No.
Okay,
no, like all the fights that I've seen so far are like you get to a new area and then it locks the screen and you beat all the enemies and move on.
Yeah.
And like the boss at the end of the first level has a timer on it, and you get more time back by killing the ads that spawn around him.
So it's a nightfall.
So it's kind of that.
Weird.
It seems like also the some of the abilities in the skill tree are just the most cyberpunk things ever. There's like Ghost Break.
That's pretty good.
Grid Converter.
All right.
Seems like there's a lot of room to kind of define a playstyle based on, because I mean there's like 14 abilities or something, each with a bunch of upgrades underneath them.
Huh. So is it kind of using every button, or are you picking a loadout?
No, I think you assign. Well, so there's a radial menu where you pick a lot of your skills, but then some of them go on a specific button, so they may take the place of each other. I'm not sure.
Right.
And it's got like a hub world where you pick up side bounties.
Oh, cool.
And like a little bit of story exploration stuff. Also, the evil corporation is called Heaven.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty
I think it's pretty good.
And company name.
And you start out the game with the objective of killing the CEO of Heaven.
Great.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I need to play more of it to see if the action really holds up and stuff.
Yeah, I really want to check it out.
It seems pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you were playing on PS4?
Yeah, I'm on PS4.
It's on PC.
Yes, it's also coming out.
I believe
on
it's
PC.
on Xbox also, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we'll definitely do something with that.
Yeah,
this
cool.
week.
I want to see that thing.
Yeah.
And
tell me about Hob.
Oh, okay.
Did you play some Hob?
I did. I played about an hour of it.
Okay.
Which platform?
PS4.
PS4? Okay. I did too.
So Hob is a kind of third person,
kind of a top-down adventure.
It's like adventure platformy with some basically you're this little creature. So the game has no words, no dialogue, no text. The only I've read the only text in the game is descriptions of power-ups you can unlock.
Is there a UI?
You have a health bar that appears when you get damaged.
Okay. So it's like very minimalist.
But yeah, other than that, no, not really. So you start out, you're this little creature and you're following around this robot, and this thing stings your arm. After your first like platforming puzzle, you walk up to this thing, and this thing stings your arm, and your arm starts to get all purpley and bubbly, and the robot runs up, cuts your arm off, and then you wake up and you have the robot's arm on your arm.
He gave you his arm.
He gave you his arm.
I mean, after he cut your arm off,
yeah.
Least he could do.
Does anything live in the arm? Does the essence of any person live in the arm?
So I've heard that there is a story in this game, and it's kind of, you have to kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
it's not very,
little
because there's
vague.
no dialogue, there's no
Right,
text and anything.
It's kind of implied.
At this point, it's just kind of keep going forward, so I don't know anything about the mysticism behind the arm.
Okay. Does the arm give you abilities?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's a little Metroidvania-y where you're constantly, so like the first arm ability you get is a really big punch, and that can use to be hit buttons, you can break walls, you can do like a ground pound with it. And I assume
Like a half jacks.
Yeah.
yeah.
But even a burlier arm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's bigger.
It's like Hellboy.
I feel like if you extended it all the way down, it would be longer than your torso.
Yeah.
So your character's always kind of like has it raised up a little bit.
Kind of deal with it. Yeah, that's
It looks really cool, and yeah, the abilities are really neat as well. Like when it first got that first upgrade, you like put your arm into this big cylinder, and then the arm like comes apart and it starts reforming with like new
that's cool. Yeah.
pieces to it. It's a really cool look.
And the game's really pretty. Like there are moments where you will just go up to a spot and it will prompt you to hit square, and you'll sit down and it'll zoom out and just kind of show you
here's
the
a
world,
thing.
and it looks really good.
Yeah, I've seen some trailers, and like the art style was a big reason.
So, but is it like, so I mean, you talk about like platform puzzle stuff. Like, is that hard from a top down? Like, is there combat in conjunction with that, or
I think the
3/4. I mean, it's not completely top
Okay.
down, but it's heavy on the platforming. I think initially here, and the puzzle solving as well. The combat's kind of bare bones, but
what sort of tools are you pushing? Blocks? Like, what are the puzzles?
Yes. There's a lot of block pushing, vine jumping, not like swinging vines, but like climby vines.
Okay.
But there will be later on. Yeah, judging from the trailer, there's you get a couple abilities with the arm that lets you put out a leash or something like that, like a whip, and swing from area to area.
Cool.
The place that I'm in now, I'm picking up batteries to put in different areas, and then along the ground there's like uncharged like traces. So you've got to like charge those to get other doors to open up.
Yeah. Okay.
To progress. It's varied so far.
Is it like Zelda-like at all? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe I was
Yeah,
getting from the
Without
footage.
the dungeon so much,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
There are like heart containers. There are
Oh.
enemies that will drop hearts. You know,
yeah.
like little mobs. You can cut the bushes and stuff like that.
So it definitely feels like that.
It feels somewhat Zelda inspired in those areas.
Kind of like Songbringer did.
Yeah.
Like you could see those influences.
But it doesn't. I mean, this is from the Torchlight developers.
Yeah,
like,
that's-
but
so
that doesn't really come through.
That's the
right? It
whole
doesn't-
reason that I'm interested in this is that like, hey, Runic hasn't made a game since Torchlight 2.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
It's
I'm
definitely
super curious to see their thing.
Yeah, it's less combat focused than Zelda and more puzzle platformy.
Okay.
And I am having problems with the platforming because of the perspective. Like sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm going to make this jump.
Yeah, like that
and
3/4 view, and then you said platform puzzle. Like, wait, that doesn't
I've definitely
sound like a
died
great mix.
probably 3 to 1 of like falling into a cliff versus dying to an enemy.
Yeah,
But-
I've fallen off a couple. They do something where if you run off a cliff, and you don't make the jump, you'll actually grab onto the ledge.
Yeah.
It's a little lenient in that respect.
Okay.
And there's
nice.
plenty of checkpointing. You just like come across them in the world. You like when you get near a checkpoint, it'll unfold and you'll respawn there. I never felt like I lost too much time or progress.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely need to put more time into it, see what more of the abilities are gonna have me doing.
So it's like zero loot, zero like
Well, so you have
resemblance to Torchlight, right?
yeah. The only thing close is like an upgrade tree.
Okay.
But
So
it's not even
way
a tree.
more of
It's like linear.
way more of like a hand-built adventure type thing.
Yeah, a little bit. I did find like a schematic for like building a new cloak, and I've got to get specific items out in the world in order to get that.
And it seems like you'll be able to upgrade your sword quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
As far as like additional combos, stuff like that. But it's got a really great sense of scale. Ben mentioned, those huge vistas. It's like it's not just like a matte painting in the background. It's like those are actually areas that you're going to be, working in. And sometimes that scenery changes a lot. Like initially, the big robot guy. There's this when he goes to the house, and he like pushes this big like stone ring.
oh yeah.
Like it changes the landscape. It's pretty huge, but there's also a lot of verticality to it. We mentioned platforming, but also in the next area that I'm in, I'm finding spots on the ground where I can ground pound. I do that, and I actually go down below, and it almost becomes like a 2D platformer at that point.
Oh,
where you
weird.
find cool stuff in there. Really good look to it. Music is kind of like ambient, atmospheric, and stuff. I like that a lot. It fits really well. The only problem that I'm having right now is performance on the PS4.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I forgot about that.
It's super bad.
Oh
It's-
no.
It's very hitchy.
I don't know that I can keep
that's a
playing it. Like
shame.
I really, really want to love this game.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing some really cool stuff with it. But when it's damn near freezing
Ooh.
Yes.
at times, and
it will
like,
dip to countable frames per second for a couple seconds.
Oh no.
I don't know how it's like on the PC.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope it's
probably
better,
fine.
but it's very
That's a shame.
pronounced.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's eating me up because I want to play more.
Yeah.
I really like this character. I like the abilities that I think I'm gonna get. Judging by the trailer and stuff, I'm gonna keep going with
Yeah.
it. But
Sounds like Steam might be the way to go
I think so.
for this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play anything else?
I've been playing a lot more Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
You got a team yet?
Still sticking.
Yeah,
Them big bodies?
So I actually watched. It was kind of the first major tournament for it this weekend, SoCal Regionals, and so that was cool watching. Like, okay, I'm gonna see like kind of a top tier of characters is starting to emerge. Captain Marvel,
Who's got tier?
Dormammu seems
I
to be like at the top. Which is
Ultron's up
fitting
there,
because
too.
he's kind of a god, right? Like that's his deal. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this and scout and figure out who I'm going to replace Nemesis with in my team, because it's Hagar and Nemesis right now, and they're the same guy. They're basically the same guy.
If
but
you could pick Hagar and Hagar, you would, but you
Yes.
can't.
Does Nemesis
so-
have a spinning lariat?
no, but he's armor, so
Okay.
he fills in a different big guy trope.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was cool. The game looks really cool at a competitive level right now. There are lots of cool upsets.
That comeback against F-Champ.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the guy who did it though, but like,
yeah, me too.
yeah, he got caught up in a happy birthday. Both of his characters were on screen at the same time, and F-Champ was just murdering him, and one of the characters got down to like a magic pixel, right? And just a little bit of life, and came back and beat him.
Wow.
It was amazing to watch. It was really cool.
Nice.
Any like resistance on the part of the scene, or are they just embracing that game?
So
with open arms?
there initially was a pretty big pushback because that game right out the gate, people were like, "Oh, it's going to be bad," whatever. Like Capcom, there was a lot of distrust of Capcom to handle the launch
like
of a
PS2 game,
and like, "Oh, they're going to make it too easy."
Yeah.
There's just all sorts of complaints, but there's still kind of that initial stage of people coming out and saying like, "Wow, this game looks really good and it's really fun," and people being like, "Oh, you're just shilling for Capcom, blah blah blah." But like, I'm seeing less and less of that, and people kind of accepting that it is a good game at its core.
Okay.
Seems pretty legit.
I saw some stuff I didn't dig too deeply in about Capcom like seeding the tournament scene with like stone stuff, like kind of coming up with some weird rules around specific tournaments. Have you guys dug into that at all?
No,
You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I should check that out.
I mean, some of it just kind of went over my head because I don't know a ton about
Right.
how all that stuff is structured, but it seemed like they were going to have.
I think the current like going rule right now is if you win a game, typically you keep your same team, same loadout and everything. But I think in this, they're going to allow you to change your stone first, even if you win, but keep the team.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's all that I've heard though.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was cool seeing it in its first big tournament.
Sounds like it's got some legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
You guys got any other games you want to hit?
No, just Destiny and I played Hob last night. I'm raid ready.
Yeah,
You
excited
guys-
excited to get this raid done.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
You look thrilled.
Move on with our lives.
I'm tentative for sure. Like I've heard how long this is going to take, and we're streaming it, and I hope we get it all done in time. I don't want to be a letdown. I really don't.
That's
But
the big problem with any kind of cooperative
yeah,
thing. It's why I shy away from it. Is I don't want to be dragging a team down.
I know. And like
think
I'm worried
of
about
that
my light
moment.
level. Like I'm at 272. I think I hit last week. See, god damn it. Oh
No, I'm at like 275.
Oh man.
God,
How, Brad, what are you at?
I'm at 288.
I had 302 last night.
God damn it.
Seriously, am I going to be?
No, that's fine.
That's like the middle. Like they said that the range is 260 to 280. So
Okay.
you're right there in the middle of it.
All right.
And you'll probably get stuff along the way that will improve that number, right?
We can do the
Yeah.
Nightfall tonight. We'll boost
Maybe
you up
we
a little
should.
bit.
Yeah.
You'd have to leave the raid and go
Oh,
open all that stuff and then come back. But
I like my outfit though. Like, and I don't have any more shaders of that color, so I can't change gear ever.
Oh, the
again.
raid
I've-
shader is the best shader in the game.
I finally started using my shaders. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
finally at a point where I can
I
add
finally
mods and
finally
shaders.
started burning a few of them. Yeah, yeah.
I just
All
did
right.
last night, so I didn't look like a purple green fucking
You gotta
glowy mess.
you gotta dress to impress.
Yeah, I got this cool. I forgot the name of it though. This chess piece that looks like it's got a big fiery mouth.
Was that the Titan?
Oh,
Was that
yeah.
the Titan
Yeah,
exotic?
I like
the
that one
like
a lot.
furnace burning in your in your belly.
yeah. I looked
Some
really
cool looking
awesome.
stuff in that game.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break.
Cool.
Let's go take a break. Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Let's talk about the news of the world.
500 episodes and we still can't sing the news
Nope.
theme right.
Nope, we'll never get it right.
We just need to change all the music
Yeah, we should.
and then change it to stuff that we memorize.
How about
Make sure we memorize, and then it'll be fine.
how about we didn't start the fire for the news?
No,
Okay.
under no circumstances.
What about?
But what if it was like video game lyrics?
Yeah.
No, no, no.
That's for emails.
Okay.
Yeah. Piano Man. Now that's a news theme.
It's a little too upbeat for news. Yeah.
Well, this is good news.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Do you have any good news? Please.
Here's some uplifting news. How about that?
Yay!
Oh man.
A dog beat Mario.
Hooray.
This happened like hours after last week's podcast, so this will be kind of old news to some. But we talked about the hidden NES golf game that was embedded in the Switch last week.
Yeah. This is crazy.
And,
I
like,
never
it
would
had-
have guessed.
it
That,
had-
I mean, I didn't guess.
Completely not the outcome that everybody cynically assumed. Like, oh, they're testing a Nintendo emulator in the Switch. They're going to start selling Nintendo games.
I didn't even think it was that. I figured it was just
or
like code samples or something.
Something got left in the firmware that wasn't supposed to be there, and like, oh, it sure is weird that has motion controls attached to it. But let's not think too hard about that.
Yeah,
but I don't think anybody saw it going in the direction that it went.
Yeah,
which is that hackers dug deeper into the stuff around that game.
Yeah,
in the Switch firmware. And the long and the short of it is they found that it is actually like an incredibly touching tribute to Satoru Iwata.
Yeah, like it sounds like there's
buried in every Switch unit.
A legit way to unlock that and play it.
Yeah.
That doesn't involve hacking a system and all this other stuff.
Yes. Specifically, it's that you make his trademark hand gesture.
Yeah. From the Nintendo Directs and stuff, he had a very
on the day of his passing. I mean, it's. I don't know what you say.
And then there's a voice clip from him that will play, and it'll apparently launch golf.
Yeah.
Which is a game he programmed, right?
Yes. He programmed golf entirely himself. Is the word.
Yeah.
And then, if you dug into it, like I saw JJ from over at 8.4 was talking about this on Twitter that like people in Japan are regarding this as like a form of sort of totem or charm that you often would pick up at a shrine that is like meant to sort of look over you or give you good luck and that kind of thing. So it's
put it in there to look over the Switch.
They like literally blessed every Switch.
The spirit is like
it's
in the machine.
It's ridiculous. It's one of the most heartfelt things I think I have ever seen in this industry.
Yeah, it's
I think it's great.
Pretty great.
It's just a kind of crazy testament to how he was regarded within Nintendo that they would go to lengths like this to memorialize him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know that Nintendo has necessarily gotten out there and confirmed any of this stuff.
They haven't commented.
Because it's being found in such a fucked up way.
Yeah.
That it'd be hard for them to really...
I can't imagine how somebody would have found this otherwise. It's so specific.
Maybe they never intended for it to be...
That is actually maybe the most beautiful option, is that they put it in there fully assuming nobody would ever find it.
When's the date?
That makes it more legitimate than
July
anything.
11th.
July 11th,
Okay.
And...
The catch is that if your Switch has ever been connected to the internet, it will count off time. That you can't just go set the time.
Can't game the system clock to do it.
But it sounds like if you were to go buy a Switch right now,
people have done that. Yeah. So I found a couple of examples of like people that had new inbox Switches that hadn't been set up yet.
Yeah.
And they got in there and changed the time on it and supposedly confirmed that it works. There are videos out there.
Yeah. I almost want to do that.
Yeah.
I almost want to do that.
Yeah. I'm okay waiting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good way to get cursed. If this is like a totem, if this is like a somewhat of a blessing, then gaming it seems like you're gonna get a curse on your hands.
Fair enough. All right. Keep that in mind, Switch firmware hackers.
Guys,
they're for sure cursed.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, no.
Guys, if I go, just sprinkle me on the TriCaster.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Jason's ghost in the TriCaster.
Anytime there's an audio problem.
We'll fix the Pearl thing, like the weird vibrating image thing.
Sprinkle a little bit over there too, maybe.
Okay. All right.
You can always blame me. Everybody does anyway.
I mean, we talked about it a lot when he passed a couple years ago, but like, he was just such a positive, uplifting figure.
Absolutely.
Remember when he took like a 50% pay cut rather than lay off people from Nintendo when their financials were down. I mean, it's just like you don't see people like that often in positions of leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
a human and a businessman.
Yeah, it's really something.
A rarity.
It's also a stark contrast because oftentimes or other times Nintendo is just a corporate-ass corporation.
Yeah.
Such as when they have issued all these copyright strikes against Super Mario 64 Online.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, whatever. Of course they were going to do that.
Yeah, it's a fan project.
They're incredibly protective of their property.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to
their IP.
Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had come close to pulling that thing up on UPF, but it's a little weird.
It is,
So
yeah.
the long and short of it is a guy made a 24-player online version of Super Mario 64.
That looks so cool.
Yeah, which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's playable Waluigi, so it's automatically terrible.
100 Marios are dropped onto a Goomba.
Yeah, okay. All right, now I'm sold. Yeah, it's... so he hasn't necessarily received a cease and desist just yet.
No.
But the videos of it have been DMCA'd off YouTube.
Yeah, a bunch of even videos that did not specifically contain like media of the game got pulled.
Yeah.
He also
seems like that's something you could then fight back against and say, hey, you don't own this, but I don't know.
He had put up a Patreon for this, which maybe not the brightest idea.
Yeah, probably
considering
not,
Nintendo's litigious nature. But
like at that point, you're making money off of of someone else's IP. Like you just
They were probably going to go after this either way, but that made damn sure that
that puts a target on it,
yes.
where they're like, okay, now this is a commercial enterprise, and we literally have to do this to protect our stake in this IP. If we don't, then you end up with God knows what. People drawing Mario having the sex.
What?
What?
A different kind of mushroom.
Yeah. Pickup truck decals with Mario peeing on things.
Exactly.
It
just never ends.
These bootleg Marios just can't be stopped.
I think I read that he had gone on Twitter 2 days prior to all these takedowns saying Nintendo can't touch us.
Oh wow, really?
Sort of don't worry everyone. We're good. This is fair use.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, the Patreon also got pulled. Unceremoniously, he says.
I imagine that they would have contacted Patreon and said, "Hey, someone is making money." Very, very shaky ground.
It's a cool idea. I would love to try it.
Totally.
But apparently, all the download links are gone. I'm sure it's still out there.
Whatever. They did that to AM2R. It was,
right, but
it was and is still not hard to find.
What I mean is active development is probably not going to continue.
I think he is
openly.
Well, I think he said that until he gets a cease and desist.
In this Kotaku story, they say that he said this on Discord. I don't know if that means that they talked to him on Discord or if they were in a channel he was in or what, but the quote is, "I might wait until after Odyssey before resuming development and hope that it doesn't come to a cease and desist, at which point development would be rather dangerous and would have to be kept a secret."
Yeah.
So he seems to think that because Mario Odyssey is on the way, that's why
they're protecting it. I mean, if you're looking at the AM2R case as a case of them getting out there and forcing it ahead of releasing a game of their own, I could see why you could come to that conclusion.
Right, but I think more the idea that they're going to be they're going to become more tolerant of this thing after Odyssey is out. They
might be paying slightly less attention.
Seems somewhat naive.
The one thing you might run into there.
Yeah.
You might be able to slip it through, but I mean, you're not going to be able to relaunch a Patreon.
Yeah.
That's a hard one because I think remixes and fan projects and all that other stuff are cool and ultimately good for gaming culture.
Yeah,
totally. But at the same time, that stuff
Don't
clashes.
Make a Patreon for it.
Yeah. Once you start kind of running it as a commercial enterprise, that crosses a line, and you shouldn't be surprised, I guess, if a corporation comes down on you for doing this shit, because at some point, the way copyright law is built in this country, it sucks.
Yeah,
and companies are in a lot of cases forced to take action, even if they don't want to. We've been pushed up to the brink a couple of times with some stuff where it'd be oh, well, we literally have to do a thing because of what we've copyrighted and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's frustrating.
And not to blow anyone's spot up, but if you're still looking for cool stuff like that, I heard Metroid, or last time I checked, Mega Man Maker is still online, surprisingly. Because Capcom has a history of being swift and harsh on those sorts of things.
I wonder how that thing has not been hit yet.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It seemed shockingly well made.
Yeah. There's some cool levels on there. I dipped back in a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Mario Odyssey recently. There's a video up on the site that we posted last week that you can go watch. I won't talk about it too much here, but I dug this image out of the comments. On that video, which is taken from some Japanese promotional video.
Oh yeah,
have you guys seen this?
Yes.
It's kind of this it's basically this parallel track of Mario games.
It's the dual timeline theory from Zelda. But
where the guy the person who commented in the video translated how these two tracks were labeled. One of them is Mario. Oh gosh, these box shots are really small. It's Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, 3D Land, and 3D World are on one track, labeled Course Clear Style 3D. And then the other track is Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine.
Right.
And that's where this is. And now Odyssey is.
And now Mario Odyssey. And that one is labeled Boxed Garden Exploration 3D. Which is of course.
That's a Nintendo
Odyssey,
image?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Odyssey is totally of that style, but just the idea that it is literally the direct successor to Mario Sunshine.
So where the timeline split is in Mario 2 at the end, if you believe that he's in a dream, that's when it goes off to the course clear style. If it was all in real life, but he was just dreaming it, he goes on to make Mario 64. So that's the splitting Mario kind of.
Well, what about the third canon? What about the Japanese end of things, where Mario 2 is just a update of Mario 1? and then you don't have any. There's no wart. There's no dreaming. The Shy Guys don't ever exist.
Yeah.
Like, what's the track that goes off?
That's the Mario
in that timeline.
becomes...
In that timeline, he ate a poison mushroom and has been in a coma for 27 years.
Okay, wait. So he never woke up. It's never a dream. It's forever a dream at that point.
Yeah. I think at some point he might be revived to become the sports Mario Tennis, Mario Kart, like that Mario.
So in the coma, they're like stimulating his muscles to keep him like
he's not aware.
Ultra fit
he's
and
just
ultra athletic,
just like BJ in the new Wolfenstein.
Totally.
Like he wakes up after 10 years in a coma and he's just buff as shit.
Yeah,
starts fucking up Nazis.
He starts fucking up Nazis and a kick-ass tennis player.
And then there's Mario Party.
I told you Mario is the hero of the proletariat.
Yeah.
Mario Party is its own
that's
universe.
The dark. Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
That's if anything, I would believe that those games took place while Mario was trapped in a coma.
There has to be a shadow to everything.
That is the Enter Sandman video, but with Mario.
Yes. That is his personal purgatory.
And he's just saying SOS kill me over and over again because he's trapped in a fucking Mario Party. Top 100. In stores. Go on.
Last week we had some good old-fashioned developer beef happening.
Ooh.
Epic Games made that Fortnite Battle Royale mode.
Yeah.
The 100-player thing.
And that is free as of today.
It is free. Is that the only way you can download that game for free? Like, you could not get the client for free before this?
Right.
Like, they're literally giving that game away in service of this mode. And then you pay, you pay for everything else.
Yeah. So the core of I don't even what the fuck is the core of Fortnite anymore with what they're doing. Like, so what you thought of as Fortnite as the we got to defend the storm against the zombies or whatever.
Horde mode plus Minecraft,
which is also like a new concept in our minds because up till June most people didn't realize Fortnite existed still.
Sure. Right. That thing came out in paid early access, so that game is eventually destined to be free to play. But right now, you can only get in if you buy a founder's pack of loot and gear and characters and stuff like that.
Right. Unless you just want to play this Battle Royale mode.
But yeah, so
is now free.
It was when they announced the Battle Royale mode, it was strange because they were like, "We're testing it now, and it goes out on the 26th." Well, wait a minute, like I'm playing it right now. It's like, what is it? So the difference is now, anyone can download Fortnite for free, but you can only play that Battle Royale mode,
right?
Unless you do the paid early access thing, which will unlock Fortnite. This is such a fucking weird thing.
Yeah, even before we even get to the drama going on.
Yeah, like
it was a weird situation
this whole rollout, this whole thing.
Because Fortnite,
really strange.
like you said, like Fortnite barely had time for its own identity to form.
Right.
For people to get their heads around what it was, and then they're turning it into something else already. And then what if that mode becomes the most popular mode?
Right. And they're doing this in a way that I don't think it seems like a great. This doesn't seem like, oh man, Fortnite can be everything to everyone. Yeah. It's going to be all this stuff. Instead, it comes off as like, oh, what if we put this super popular thing into Fortnite? That might get people.
Oh, it turns out we can actually do this pretty easily.
Yeah. It's the Unreal Engine, so we know it supports this sort of stuff because, I don't know, the most popular game in the world happens to run on Unreal Engine. They've been paying us a lot of money. Anyway.
Initially it just came off as a Trojan horse. It's like, hey, we're going to seed this thing with a super popular mode that people want to play, except now they can play it for free, and then maybe they'll pay us for the rest of the game.
And nobody was surprised that this sort of Battle Royale mode came in another game, right? Like, we were all wondering who's the first game that's going to do this. It's going to happen any minute now.
For Fortnite, I think the thing that sticks out to me is that it just seems hyper opportunistic for them to because that game launched with UI issues, and when we had them in here talking about the game, it was like, it was like, oh well, we've got plans. We had to sacrifice some of the UI to make sure it got on consoles, and we've got this. We're a little, they came off as a little scrappy in a way of like, hey, but at the same time, it's Epic, a very large company, but they came off as like, oh, we're putting this thing out here, we're kind of doing our thing, and now this just seems like this wild pivot to like, oh, also we've decided to clone elements from what is the most popular game in the world right now, in a hyper fast fashion.
To be fair, it does have its own spin on it. Like, you can build still in it, which is a neat twist.
People are already getting defensive about it. Like, I think was at UPF, I said something slightly dismissive about it and got responses from people going like, no, you don't understand. Like, the building totally changes the game. Like, that.
It has its differences. I'm not saying it's a perfect clone, but there are elements of it that you look at and go like, man, they say
the messaging of it.
Yeah, they mention it by name. And that's, again, not a problem. I think it just seems slimy. It's a weird. if I was a big fan of Fortnite, I'd be pretty pissed off if they were doing this,
because it might feel like they are starting to ignore the thing you like about Fortnite.
Wait a minute,
how many development hours
like,
went into this that could have gone into the game that I love?
Or do they have teams that are big enough to where that work is still continuing at pace?
Oh, I'm sure
like we don't know enough
continuing,
about how they're structured or how they're how many people they have to really know if one comes at the expense of the other. But from the outside looking in, it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
What?
Bluehole's vice president agrees with you. Which is kind of the entire reason this is a story, is because he came out and made some fairly pointed statements about all this.
Kind of loosely threatening legal action.
Like, I could read some quotes from a press release they put out.
Yeah, they sent out a press release.
This is not just on Twitter.
We don't think this is cool.
Like, it was a literal press release. Like, it was official communique from the company.
Yeah,
where he says
this also to be fair, this also seems like a really dumb fucking idea. Go on.
Yeah. We've had an ongoing relationship with Epic Games throughout PUBG's development, as they are the creators of Unreal Engine 4, the engine we licensed for the game. After listening to the growing feedback from our community and reviewing the gameplay for ourselves, we are concerned that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known.
Sure. Up to this point, you're totally right.
We have also noticed that Epic Games references PUBG in the promotion of Fortnite.
Accurate.
To their community and in communications with the press. This was never discussed with us, and we don't feel that it's right.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. And
totally.
Then at the end of the press release, they mention that they may end up contemplating further action.
That's where you're just like, dude, good luck. Talk to Dennis Dyack about that one if you want to
threaten legal action against the people whose engines my very successful game is running.
Like, sure.
But also
that shit happens, like there was that infamous Apple Samsung lawsuit, and yet Samsung also makes all the screens in iPhones. Like companies pursue legal action against each other and then also continue doing business with each other.
And Epic is like a big enough company to where they have their division that is developing games, but also the business that licenses the engine is not entirely intertwined with that.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, ask Dennis Dyack about this, because remember that he was very vocally against Epic. Using
that's right. I was trying to remember which Dennis Dyack legal kerfuffle you were talking about.
It was basically like him saying instead of they are not being good partners because they are spending all their time working on Gears of War instead of they're making sure that our game is running right.
They're not giving us the good version of the engine or something to that effect.
Yeah, and I'm sure he is yelling at a screen right now, going, "See, I told you," or something around this stuff. But I feel so many different types of ways about this stuff that it is hard to really. It's hard for me to have a clearly defined position on this, other than it's a fucking mess. I think it's shitty on all sides. I think what Bluehole has said comes off as misguided, because and he has since clarified and said no, I don't mean I have a problem with someone cloning the game. It's specifically that it's Epic, our business partner in this endeavor,
and them calling us out by name.
Yeah,
that's the other main part.
Using our reputation to market their thing.
Yeah, which already they've had to backpedal from their press release because it was not clear. Yeah, it sounded like they were saying they're cloning our game, which they are. But they're not the first. They won't be the last. And also, if you want to get down the legal road of it, I'm not a lawyer, but a lot of this stuff came out of mods. A lot of stuff came out of mods that were inspired by a movie that was not licensed for this. Keep in mind, Battlegrounds just had a bunch of school outfits and started using the term Battle Royale to promote that stuff. Yeah. And they did not license the movie for that. So they're trying to evoke that stuff without paying. There's a lot of weird shit around that. And then also how much of the style of I look at the style of the map in Fortnite and go man, that's straight out of Battlegrounds. And the way that they have added the compass with all the numbers and stuff and go that's just like Battlegrounds, but also just like Arma. A lot, also just like H1Z1 probably. I'm sure the map is probably similar in that. I don't know for sure, but I would not be shocked if a lot of the elements that have found their way into Battlegrounds is almost like a case of Valve replicating animation styles from Warcraft 3 mods. Yeah. You could draw some parallels between that stuff in this, I think, too.
Sure.
So I don't know. I think that for my part, like the legal aspect of this, I'm not a lawyer, but also I don't think there's any case here at all with this stuff. But also I feel like the way Epic has handled this stuff, and they've come out and said that they have no comment on any of this, which I think is understandable considering that they've been threatened loosely with legal action. That at that point you're like, well, we're not going to say anything one way or the other because we don't know what's coming next.
Yeah.
But also in an ideal world, they would be out there telling their side of this story in a way that would maybe help.
Maybe they feel like they did that already because you remember like some of the quotes that Bluehole's talking about came from Donald Mustard when they were first talking about this thing, and there was a very lighthearted like, oh, we love PUBG and here's our take on it type stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they feel like that is their story.
But I think like for me, the story I want to hear is about the Fortnite story overall and like how does this stuff come to pass and like why, and because like I said, I think it's from the outside looking in, not knowing how they distribute their work and all this stuff, like it doesn't feel good. This everything about them doing this for a game that is still in some kind of paid early access. That last time I checked in on it needs a fair amount of work that doesn't involve cloning battlegrounds. That's the stuff that just feels bad to me.
Especially for me, like PUBG only came out in what, March, April,
something like that,
and it was probably another month
before it
6
really
weeks
took
before
off.
you really went like, whoa, this is a phenomenon forming here.
Yeah,
like. Could they have even
started
work on this mode before that?
I would love to know when the decision was made to do this with Fortnite.
Yeah.
And if it was something like, because it would be a fascinating story of development one way or the other.
Yeah.
If they were like, some people on the team just decided one weekend to try to throw something together and we liked what we saw, so we decided to give them some more time and resources to put it together. And now we're putting it out. And it's a fun thing that we did.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's probably a fascinating story about how this thing came to be, unless it is literally them looking at a chart and going, yo, we could strike first with this. I think we could do it if we diverted all resources to it. I don't know. I don't know. It's troubling from that angle. Like I don't like it. And the thing they made is good in some ways because it's cloning a really good game. And they're the Fortnite specific tweaks on it that come by virtue of it having this building already in it to throw up walls and stuff like that, I think can be a fascinating twist on it. But it just feels kind of gross. They put in there like their first scoped weapon today.
Really?
Yeah. Like the game just didn't have that before.
Wait, all of Fortnite did not have scoped weapons?
I guess I can't say for certain.
But there were snipers.
But I don't know. All the shooting I had seen in Fortnite up to this point was just third-person aim-down sight type stuff. It was not like full-on scoped combat. So maybe I just didn't play enough regular Fortnite to see that stuff. But now it's got scoped weapons in it, which starts to set up that type of ranged combat that Battlegrounds is even more known for.
That's probably where this really starts to feel uncomfortable, is if they continue devoting a lot of active resources to building out this Battle Royale stuff. Like if they continue adding a lot to that over time, then you're going to be like, wait a minute, which game are you making
There's
here?
something to be said for like, hey, we're in such open development that we can turn the game on a dime and do all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what if way more people are interested in that than core Fortnite?
The numbers would... The Battlegrounds numbers might tell you that that's probably the case. Even though it sounds like Fortnite itself,
it's free now.
Yeah, Fortnite itself had a pretty good launch. I remember they were out there touting some pretty decent numbers, like over 1 million, I want to say, for people that got in.
Over 1 million people who wanted to say, "What the fuck is Fortnite?" After all,
right? Yeah, it's just they've created this separate thing with a separate launcher and a separate menu, that launches, and now that part's free, and also that part doesn't come with a tutorial that tells you how to build, because that part's in the paid section of the game.
Right.
So you're dumping all these people into it without something that says like, hey, by the way, you can build in this game.
You need these resources, and you can do this. And there's different types of traps.
It's a very complicated situation, and the whole thing makes me feel icky, I guess, is how I'd sum up my position on it. I don't know.
Yep.
And none of it's, I doubt that any of this is something that will ever see legal action, and I bet if Bluehole does go that route, I don't think it would go well for them, judging by how the stuff with Dennis Dyack went, and just kind of just little bits and pieces you pick up on staring at video games long enough and staring at the legal action around them.
Yeah,
I remember paying close attention to when Capcom sued Data East for Fighter's History.
Oh wow,
when that came out.
Yeah,
they said it was too close to Street Fighter.
Right.
And it was stuff like, oh well, this punk rock guy throws a spinning CD, and we think that looks a lot like
the Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom.
Yeah, I totally remember.
And then Data East had to be like, well, he throws it with one arm. Like it was literally like that level of kind of picking these arguments apart and stuff like that. Like that was silly shit. But what is it? You can't trademark like look and feel, right? Is that what it is?
I think that's right.
Whatever. We're out of our depth on the legal aspect of this stuff, but I don't think that would happen in a favorable way.
Yeah.
I also don't think it's necessarily reasonable. It's not out of the question, but I don't think Bluehole would go make their own engine or go license a different engine to get away from Epic.
They're working on so many things.
Yeah,
like that's.
I just don't see how it would be worth it for them.
Right. But also, I think that their fears of like, hey, now we're working with a partner that is making a competing game, and what if the things we're doing to the engine are things that they could then benefit from and take from us? I might sabotage. Yeah. At that point, I might say, Epic's pretty good at the engine stuff. Like I would be curious to know, like over the years, how many engine improvements have come from third parties. Maybe it's a ton. I don't know.
I wonder if does Epic own any of that work? I wouldn't think so.
I don't actually. I wouldn't assume so, but I know that they would always be very respectful of what the Mortal Kombat games were doing. Just by virtue of them being Unreal games that ran at 60, because the engine was not originally designed to do that particularly well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a messy situation with a ton of little bits and pieces that it's hard to even have a coherent conversation about it right now, just because there's so many little bits that I just that like some of them make me angry in different ways. Sure. Like the whole thing is just. It's a fucking weird one, man.
And then
weird one.
A year from now, we'll probably have forgotten about this whole thing when 8 other games have this mode in them as well. Like I'm just waiting. I mean, there's other games in development that are just this, and then you assume every big shooter is also going to take a stab at it.
What quarter of what year do we feel Battleground fatigue?
Q4 next year.
Okay.
From other games doing it?
Yeah, from like another Battle Royale game.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably like start to feel the fatigue end of next year, and then but there will probably be plenty of games that ship into 2019.
I'm just wondering when the MOBA effect is going to kick in, or the
but like, you have to wonder, like, does it become like how many Infinite Crises are you going to see come and go in this style of game? Because like whatever, man, like a 5-on-5 game, you can round up 10 people.
Yeah.
100 people.
Ooh, that's a tough community to keep going.
Yeah.
If you don't have that player base there,
if you don't have that player base, that game doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There are plenty of games that are 16 players that don't have enough of a player base to make it work. Yeah. So we're going to see companies take a stab at this, and I'm sure someone will try to come up with hey, we found a way to do this with 12 players.
Speaking of, I don't know if this is in the news, but I saw that Lawbreakers was hitting 20 people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I've thought about bringing that up, but it just seems mean. Like last I checked in, they were still in the 3-digit territory.
Cautionary tale, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Not to like dunk on the game. The game seems fine.
Right. That's why I didn't want to bring it up, because I didn't want to just like.
It's a bummer.
There's a ton of competition out there.
So I still haven't played that game, but like it's not outright bad, right?
No.
Like it's functional. It's okay.
It's totally functional. I think their tutorial stuff was pretty bad, and I think they've come out and said that they want to work on that, but I also think they said we're going to work on it with new videos, and it's like, no, like you need an interactive tutorial for that game. Like clicking the tutorial button and having a bunch of links to YouTube videos pop up is a bad experience.
Yeah.
And they should maybe hope to do better than that. But they've probably got a lot of ideas of stuff they need to do to that game to try to get people back on it. It sounds like they're going to try to stick with it, but at one point, especially if you're Nexon, who Nexon seems to pull the plug on games that don't have a player base.
Yeah.
But also the most of those are service based, like free to play, like that Ghost in the Shell game is free to play, and they're yanking that in December, and this is a $30 thing. So maybe at that point it doesn't run on the same metrics as a free to play game. So maybe it doesn't necessarily get out and out shut down.
Right.
Maybe it becomes a free to play game.
Yeah.
Like I think they announced it as such at one point, right?
They did.
And then they went back to
They went back and forth on it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Or not, they went back and forth. They went back and forth on it.
Maybe they dig those plans out of the trash.
Yeah.
It could go the way of like Battleborn, which just announced that they're doing one more big update and then not touching it ever again.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. But then, what does that mean for the studio? Like, for Boss Key, who seems to have made that game, and that's kind of all they got going on, and they need to dedicate some time to it. Like maybe at some point they cut loose from Nexon and run it on their own again, or who knows how it goes. But that Battleborn stuff.
I saw that and I almost pulled it in here, but then I looked at how long that game has been out.
Yeah,
it's like well over a year of post-release support.
It doesn't feel like it got cut off early.
Yeah.
No. But at least by this patch, it feels like if anything, this seems long overdue.
I saw some people like pointing to that statement from the head of development there, saying like, "Oh, like I can't believe they're doing Battleborn this way," or like, "Oh, they finally put a bullet in it." Or something
really
like that.
Good statement.
And I looked at the statement and I was just like, "Wait, this game got over a year of support after release,
and it's getting like one kind of last big
patch. It's a pretty big patch.
This is not like some unceremonious pulling of the plug here.
And there was
feels like they supported the
giving
game.
you a skin in the pat hey, we're gonna treat you, thank you guys, you kept this game going for a year. And
basically I looked at that and said like, Battleborn has had it enough at this point, like there's no reason to
I mean,
I think that was really well handled.
For a game that I did not like that game at all.
I mean, it was not bad, it was just like not super inspiring.
I think some parts of it were pretty bad.
I thought some of the co-op stuff was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
but
it had a couple of ideas in there. If anything, it feels like they supported it longer than I thought. They would have. So
totally.
And now
I wonder if that's more active than Lawbreakers.
It's
almost.
I've
certainly.
It's in the same range.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not. But the difference is Battleborn went free at one point.
Right.
I'm sorry, not free to play. It's an unlimited free trial. It's a very distinct difference.
Yes.
Whatever.
There's a hobby grade difference there.
Yeah. Yes. So by virtue of you being able to play that thing for nothing, like I think it is somewhat higher, but still not that much higher. That Ghost in the Shell game was higher because that's also free. Yeah.
This now makes me want to track down this Randy Pitchford quote about Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
I saw people talking
that's
about.
The other thing is that they're like, hey, we're working on the thing you think we should be working on.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, specifically the stuff
Yep. Finally.
Specifically the stuff that he said about like
Half-Life 3. They're making it. They've got experience with Half-Life, so they.
I was gonna say they've got experience with games that are never gonna come out.
Yeah.
Hang on. I should have actually looked this up for real. So people were saying basically the headlines going around were that Randy Pitchford had come out saying that like the look of Borderlands was holding the series back.
Yeah, I didn't see that story. You mentioned it last week, and I am surprised to hear that.
Like I didn't put it in here because I don't know that it reaches the level of news because it was something he said and then seems to have walked back to some degree and like.
Because I mean, Borderlands has sold quite well. I mean, I don't know if they think it deserves to break through to a higher tier than it has or something, but also I think like Borderlands 1 did really well and was a really solid first attempt.
Yeah.
It had some bugs with some of the boss fights. Like there were just elements of that game that you wish were better. And then I feel like the sequels have gotten further away from that first game and what made it great.
Yeah,
because I think the writing has taken a turn in the later ones, and also I think they just didn't expand upon the things you could do in that game well enough. It just kind of they doubled down on the existing stuff without really blowing it out in a more satisfying way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Destiny 2 either, where they kind of slowly iterate on it. Like they could have gone two ways. They could have gone the Destiny route where they just fine tune everything, make everything a little bit better, work on big set pieces and stuff, or like gone all out on the class stuff, make them really just.
I always thought that the thing, I always thought that the thing that Borderlands needed was created characters.
Yeah.
And you choose it could still play similarly, but you needed to have a character that was yours that you could show off that was more than just a color scheme. Like it needed to be armor. It needed to be visual difference to your character.
Also, all the multiplayer in those games is opt-in, right? Like you have to actively go match with people to play anything. Like you don't even, there's no social space or anything like that, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a jump in, jump out co-op game.
Yeah.
You can make your session public if you want, but it's not.
You're not just going to see people out there the way you do in Destiny.
No, but also I think that like I remember playing Destiny and realizing at one point like, oh, this is probably what Borderlands 3 should be. Is like this type of service-based game, this type of
that'd be really cool.
Of like, you know, that type of social experience.
I'm sure they're looking hard at Destiny going like,
definitely.
We did that first.
Especially with as much time as they've taken to get to Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, they're still not willing to say the name most of the time when they discuss it.
Worlds this time.
Yeah, it definitely should
have had that trademark for like fucking 8 years.
Yeah.
The Borderverse.
Yeah, and so I think when that game comes along, I think that they've got an opportunity to like drag it back on track. But like the art style is not something I would look at as something that has to change. That's always.
I thought the art was fine.
Yeah, I thought that because remember we saw it before it had all that shit.
That's right.
When they first were showing it off and it had that kind of more realistic style to it.
Yeah, kind of bland.
But also like they sold that thing on their gun talk alone.
Yeah.
Like I came away
Remember
from
the gun?
Yeah.
The first E3 demo we ever went to that or of that game was like they had a developer gun in there that was just a gun that shot guns. And like every time they shot a gun, it was randomly generating. It was like, here's how many like millions of gun designs we can spit out, and they were just like shooting guns around the environment.
And it looked kind of generic military, whatever. But at the same time, like everything they were saying about that game sounded fantastic. So when they took their time with it and found an art style for it that I think really worked in its favor, it really made it stand out.
Totally. Yeah.
Like I think if they're out there saying that that's a problem, I think that's really misguided.
Pitchford, I just found the tweets where he walked it back and he called that a bullshit clickbait headline. So
he tends to use that for anything he disagrees with these days. So I don't know, like okay, I guess.
I
don't know
the original quote. I just closed it. I can pull it back up if you want.
I would love to hear the original quote.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it back up here.
You need to start Borderlands 3 by killing Claptrap.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like you blow up a fucking Claptrap.
I knew it was putting a ceiling on us because there's just a huge percentage of the gaming audience that does not want a cartoon.
It's that
is the sentence.
I think that's a really misguided way to look at Borderlands as a whole. Like that's depressing to me as someone who has really enjoyed my time with those games.
Yeah.
Because it has a unique style that stands out.
Sure,
like
sure.
I don't know, you know, like sure, if you want to like try to find a new style, but also you're 3 games in now.
Yeah.
Plus the Telltale adventure games and all that sort of stuff, like that's a defining part of Borderlands.
For sure.
Like I don't know how you get away from
the only thing I would criticize about too is that some of the writing went a little too far in a specific direction, and they could walk some of that stuff back and tighten that up.
I think the writing in 2, exactly, like that stuff's fixable. I think 2 was unfortunately written in a lot of ways, but like from a gameplay perspective, it was still a lot of fun.
And art style, like just it's got a personality to it that I would not want to see go away.
The pre-sequel is where it really just went over the line for me across the board. I
forgot they made that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Gearbox. I mean, that was.
I know
Australia
they didn't make it themselves, but
it just didn't. It was too much. At that point, it was like, okay, you've gone back to the well one too many times. Yeah. Like this is now like a B team Borderlands game.
Yeah.
But you could still hold out hope that like, hopefully everything lines up for Borderlands 3 or the next Borderlands to really be there and get the shit back on track, because I think they've still got just a tremendous opportunity.
They've just been waiting all this time to pick a really good song for the intro movie.
They're waiting for the Heavy to put out a new album and get that in there.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be, well, I don't know, whatever. What do I know? But part of me thinks it would be foolish if Borderlands did not take significant cues from the way Destiny is structured in terms of how you meet up, how you group up, how the sort of content you do,
and just making the world feel more lived in.
Yeah, social spaces with more than 4 people in them, like that sort of stuff, I think is vital for what they're doing. And also, I still maintain that this is what I felt when they were getting ready to announce Borderlands 2, was that created characters that you define the look of and equip an armor to or something that is going to like make you visually stand out from other characters. I think is a key thing for a game of that type.
Like the dress up aspect of Destiny is a tremendous part of why I like it so much.
I want to keep my borders fierce.
Exactly.
If you will.
Like it's kind of ridiculous how much time I spend obsessing over like shader combinations and just like
I'm gonna say it's more than kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
fun. It's fun. Like people really like that aspect of those games.
Yeah, I think Gearbox has been beaten up a lot over the last few years here between Aliens and all the shit surrounding that, and even going back to Duke to some extent, like, and the Borderlands sequels and that sort of stuff. But I hope that for the next Borderlands game that it really is as all hands on deck as they say it is, and that they can really pull something cool off. Because I do think that there's still really something there. But yeah, I don't know for sure.
Lastly, it looks like the SAG-AFTRA strike that's been going for close to a year might be coming to an end. They say they've reached a tentative agreement.
Right.
It's not completely set in stone yet, but they seem to have spent enough time at the table that they've kind of got something together. I didn't realize this was only against specific companies. Like, I kept looking at certain projects coming out going like, how are they getting this voice talent? I thought the strike was still in effect. But yeah, I guess it was only 11 companies.
And it was the companies that were like, were they like the most egregious offenders?
I think that's
some of that stuff. Because one of the things was companies not telling you what game you were recording for.
So they got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but it's project code name still.
Yeah.
Like, it's
not
necessarily.
Transparency provisions is how they refer to it. Communicating like code name of project and genre that the game takes place in. What sort of like profanity, racial slurs, and so on might be involved with the role, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
has to be communicated more up front now. They did not get residuals. That's probably the big story here is that.
Yeah, and then that
would have been the big industry shaking precedent that would be set.
That would have torn the video game industry apart and forced them to create a new one in the rubble, because that would have and maybe this should happen depending on who you ask. But yeah, most of the people who work on games don't get residuals. So the idea of giving it to voice actors that are coming in to record this stuff and not giving it to all these people that are living with this project for multiple years.
And spending like so much crunch time just not seeing their family.
Definitely seen people in other disciplines of game development on like message boards and stuff when this pops up, when this bubbles up in the news, not super sympathetic to their demands.
Yeah. They're like
when programmers and artists are like killing themselves to get the stuff out.
And I think the actual answers to that are way more complicated because it's like no one should be killing themselves to make any fucking video games.
Like, what if everybody made more money making games?
And yes, also.
How about that?
And then how does that manifest? How does that trickle down to consumers? You think you don't like DLC now if they suddenly were paying all those, that's not going to, publishers aren't going to go like, in the goodness of our heart, we've decided to cut everyone in on the money.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're going to go like, hey, we got shareholders to worry about.
Yes.
So
every time you raise an issue in this conversation, it just creates, it raises the specter of an even larger
problem,
more looming issue.
Here's how they fix it.
Until we get all the way up to the structure of our society. It's very difficult to address in the context of video games.
Boss bounties.
Okay.
If you kill a boss, that's like $100 into the pocket of the developer that made the artist who made the boss. If you get enough people and you incentivize it, and that way you're giving back while you're playing the game, and it catches you in the gameplay loop even longer, and that's how they make even more money off of you.
Stop. Don't. This is game development and the work that is involved in that it seems incredibly unfair to a lot of the people that are doing it.
Yep, for sure.
I tend to agree that it was hard to be completely sympathetic with the voice actors for wanting what they wanted when so many more people that are spending so much more time on a game are nowhere close to any of that stuff. And maybe a union, maybe this stuff does need to unionize. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the counter response I have seen in discussions among people who work in the field.
Yeah.
On message boards, people saying like, well, maybe artists should unionize too.
Maybe
that stuff
at some point that would
when people in the other fields start saying like we don't get shit So why should you? And then that's
like,
the
well,
response is
well,
maybe all of us should have better job protections.
Have your shit together then.
But that's incredibly difficult to engineer from the ground level when at will stuff and
the employment issues around video game development there are a bunch of them.
I feel like if I remember, like that was one of the very early news stories we talked about on this podcast was the Nico Bellic voice actor getting super upset that he had been paid scale or whatever for a job that generated like tens of millions in sales.
Yeah, definitely. And
hundreds of millions
he
of
was
dollars.
recording YouTube videos or something, and then Rockstar had a...
Didn't they just fucking come out and blacklist him? Didn't they just flat out come out and say like, fuck him, he's done, we're not working with him again?
Yeah, more or less.
And Nico Bellic vanished from...
I think that's right.
Vanished from the GTA universe?
Yeah.
Or something? That may have been a little after. That may have been a year or two after GTA 4.
Yeah, there was definitely some time separating it. You're right. But gosh.
This goes back a ways.
Long time issues for sure. And there's still plenty to resolve. It's...
Yeah, they upped their bonus payment structure a little bit, but it's not...
It's like $75 a session.
Yeah, it looks like a maximum of $2,100
and that stuff does not pay super well. So like any bit, especially for some of these smaller roles and stuff, like that's good to the
totally
working voice actors of Hollywood of the world.
Yeah, I've always gotten the impression that voiceover is a hustle.
Yeah, we talked to Nolan North a little bit about some of that stuff and some of the other voice actors we've come into contact with over the years, and it sounds like the ones that are doing it at that elite level in a lot of video games are doing it because they have a hustle and they focus on games in a way that maybe some of the other voice actors don't. And it sounds incredibly difficult. Yeah.
Indeed. But that seems like that's wrapping up. We'll see if hopefully they finalize this stuff. You guys want to take another break before we do emails, or are you ready to go? You got the 1,000-yard stare.
Let's take one more break.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll be right back. All right. Here we go for roughly the 500th time. Emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com.
I don't think we had emails on the first one because people wouldn't know where to send them.
That's true. Yeah.
For the final time.
Yep.
This is it, huh?
Yep. We're shutting down emails after this.
Yeah.
What are we moving to?
Email no longer exists.
SMS text messages.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beeper codes.
Yeah.
Yes. Jason writes in.
Hi.
Hello. As an entrenched...
Ask us.
I get awkward.
That's true. Yeah, it's right here at the end of the table. I know it's a long table, but just raise your voice a little bit. As an entrenched Xbox user, I've become accustomed to the console rhythm of initial trash fire followed by years of apologetic hard work to make good. Last generation, there was a red ring in every home. Let me rephrase this. Sorry, I read that wrong.
It's the thermal paste.
Yes, last generation was a red ring in every house to possibly the best console I've ever owned. Now they've gone from Don Matrix, we have a console for non-internet users, to crossplay happy times, Phil Spencer.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Meanwhile, Nintendo controls their titles, knowing people will come just for their heavy hitters, and Sony seems to always go straight up the middle, making generally good calls, though I don't have good objectivity on Sony as I only ever owned a PS3 and was not impressed. I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are on how current consoles are progressing and how that compares to that company's history. Is Xbox digging out of their hole, or do I just have Stockholm Syndrome?
It's easy to forget sometimes that the Xbox 360 launched so fucking terribly.
Dude, I landed on some YouTube video last night that was, on the surface is a deep dive into the Red Ring issues and why they happened and, how they rushed it to market and we're trying to beat Sony and skimped on testing and blah, blah, blah. But like, it also encapsulated just all the crazy shit that happened around that thing when it came out,
Yeah.
From like wireless controller and achievements and online profile shit and just all the weird scrappy stuff they threw together.
Yeah, like they cut off their first console early with something that they rushed it to market, but made a lot of like really good calls along the way in terms of just like service structure
and feature stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I think part of it is a bit of a blind spot for me because I never really had too much of a Red Ring problem.
Really?
I had one overheat on me.
I never Red Ring.
Ever?
But like my launch 360 still works.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
I mean, maybe it doesn't now. It's been sitting in storage for, some years.
You're talking about like a 2005 manufactured?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went through 3 of those.
It never went bad, but I also replaced it when an HDMI model came out.
Yeah. That's probably a big part of it.
So,
because that would have been like a year later or something. Didn't the Elite with the black Xbox with the HDMI?
Maybe. I had them both hooked up for a while because I had another TV
something?
in the house. So the launch one was getting use beyond that time. And my Japanese 360, which does not have HDMI, so it is fairly early. Like that thing still works. Last I checked.
At the same time, like I know people that have.
Totally, yeah. And but it was easy. It's easy to forget that stuff sometimes because I feel like even around the office, like I don't know that we ever really had a ton of trouble with it. People definitely ran into it, but I don't think there were a lot of stories of people going through 8 of them at the same time.
I have heard, I've heard the stories, but I don't know people personally.
Dan's gone through, more than a handful.
Yeah,
he smeared nacho cheese over the vents.
Probably.
I remember that stuff as it was happening. Like a year, 18 months after launch, people were like, "Oh, now there's this Falcon model, and you can't tell unless you eyeball the serial number." But that one has the chips are epoxied onto the board.
Yeah,
and then they came out with another revision after that, and you didn't quite know what you were getting.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It was a giant mess.
Yeah, so I guess that's he's right though. Yeah, like the 360 had an incredibly rough launch in a different way than the Xbox One did.
Also, I didn't watch this video all the way through, and I assume a lot of these details came out of that Dean Takahashi book that he did on this stuff. But they were talking about stuff and some of these figures are a little fuzzy, but they were skipping on testing prior to launch that was saving them a few $100,000 here and there or something like that. Like they were just not doing the due diligence that would have revealed a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
And ended up writing down $1 billion loss to fix the mistake.
It's amazing when you consider that sort of stuff. It's amazing that the 360 went on to be as successful as it was.
Right.
And also that Microsoft still has a gaming division.
Yeah. This video was mentioning that you remember how hard it was to get one of those things when it came out? You guys all went and lined up the day they came out, and then
I had mine secured. I didn't go,
or you maybe pre-ordered one.
Yeah,
I remember Ryan and a bunch of people rolled into the office early.
Yeah.
On launch day with consoles because they'd been out all night waiting in line.
Right. And then also there was the thing of the weird dumb event that we were running.
GameSpot was then offering to buy all of our 360s
for
that event. But yeah, they were saying that, that was just straight up the yield problems they were having. The console, the hardware was so shitty. It was so poorly made.
So it was failing internally, and they knew full well that they were launching.
That's why it was so hard to get a 360 that first Christmas, because they couldn't make them. They were making a bunch of them, but so many of them were bad and could not go to market that there was a huge shortage.
Yeah. That's man. That's a real mess. But yeah, I don't know. The question of how do we think of the console business now it's progressed?
Yeah, or just specifically how each one is doing.
Oh, right now, I think we're seeing that flip flop thing of Sony put out the PS3 and took kind of a beating. I mean, the worldwide numbers they eventually caught up, but it was it was not a hugely successful endeavor.
Yeah,
compared to how Microsoft came out of that generation.
Right.
PR wise and sales wise and all that.
Or just it's such a shitty attitude back then too. It's you're offering for $500 and expecting people to get a second job.
I see people. I see people defend the PS3 saying it ended up selling just as much as the 360, but the generation before that, the PS2 outsold everything by 5 or 6 to 1. That's a huge fall compared to the previous model.
The PS3,
but I think Sony is in terms of how much I like using their console, I think it's by far the best possession they've ever been in.
They're definitely benefiting from having a better UI this time around as well. Yeah. Internally, this thing runs better, but also they've made some smart choices along the way, as far as getting indie developers under their wing as well. So, consumer friendly and hardware friendly.
They basically made the 360. The features that thing has and how the system interface works and how parties work and invites and blah, blah, blah. It's basically a 360, and that's all I want.
They kind of did that work. You still can't change your name. There's still stuff around the edges that is still
5 or 6 things I would change about it.
Decidedly Sony-like solutions to these issues.
I feel
having to manually sync trophies is dumb.
Yeah.
But by and large, that thing is the best console to play most games on.
I feel the difference between this generation and the last generation when it comes to the Xbox problems is Xbox One had so many negative things leading up to its launch, right? It had all of these issues that were there was the internet thing. There was just
always on DRM stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot that was dissuade, because most households probably have either an Xbox or a PlayStation, right? There's data out there that's you have your main console and exclusives are exclusives, whatever. Some people have both, like hardcore gamers and stuff like that. But whereas the 360 issues were, a lot of those were post-launch issues.
Yeah.
It was like, the
think
Red Ring was post-launch, the achievement stuff. Like, so at that point, you kind of, if you already had an Xbox, you had that Xbox and you rode it out and you just dealt with it. I'm sure some people switched over, but probably less than switched over
also,
before
they
the PS4
launch like day and date. There was like a year between 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
So like by the time the PS3 had come out, like a lot of that 360 stuff had been ironed out to a certain extent, and then you have Sony coming in with this like overpriced thing. I think the Xbox stuff, like whatever, like even post launch though, they get mired in a lot of different problems post launch, because then you had all the comparison pieces, which that stuff's gonna have a limited effect on like the wider mainstream audience, but the people, everyone knows someone who is like they're the person in the know. Like I get asked all the time from family and shit like that, which one should I get? And I was like, well, this is a super complicated question. Yeah. Like I can't. Who are you buying it for?
Do you like Halo?
Is it for a kid? Like what are we doing here? And it's not just a simple this or this answer in a lot of cases, but for the people that are paying attention to all that sort of stuff, they're looking at all the comparison videos. I mean, you could trace all this stuff to why the Xbox One X exists, right? Is because Microsoft took a fucking beating with a certain segment of the audience, and people latched on to a lot of the, oh, well, this thing's only 900p and the PS4 is rendering at 1080p, and whatever. It's easy to roll your eyes at it, but it's like a meaningful power difference that you notice in some games more than others.
Sure.
So if all other things being equal, and you're recommending, you're like, well, I'll get the PS4 because it's got all these games and it's going to be more powerful. And this also happened to coincide with even more of a shift in the direction of third-party games mattering more than any of the first-party stuff. Whereas, like, Sony stuff, has been...
Hey, man, only one console's got knack on it.
That's a good point. It's true. For now. I mean, we don't know where it's going to go in the future. But...
Put knack in Smash.
But I feel like Microsoft's first-party stuff has really fallen off this generation in terms of just, like, the 360 was responsible for... the creation of the Gears of War franchise, and say what you will about it, it was a big deal. And then you had series that started on the original Xbox coming into fruition by being more online and better.
Dude, yeah, like
stuff like Forza, stuff like Halo.
Like Halo 3 was a revelation.
Yeah.
In terms of all the stuff it did.
And so you had these big moments peppered with like the Crackdowns of the world and some of this other stuff along
Viva
the way.
Pinatas.
And Viva Pinata. Where they were doing new work because they had a lot to prove coming off of the original Xbox. And now...
and like Xbox Live was such a big deal for indie games, or not Xbox Live,
Xbox Live Arcade. Yeah. I mean that created a whole segment in a lot of ways. That changed a lot of stuff, and so I think that like Microsoft's first party just isn't hitting right now. So that's, and they just pushed Crackdown back again. So like they're just setting themselves up for like this weird holiday season where they've got this most powerful console on the market, and then. Am I going to go back and play Titanfall 2 on it because that's one of the games getting updated? Forza, yeah.
That's
Forza
like it, right? In terms of first party.
Big first party releases, yeah.
Yeah. And whatever, like the Cuphead's coming out on it. That's cool. Like there's plenty of cool stuff available for all platforms.
And they will be able to say things like, we have the best versions of Assassin's Creed and
Battlegrounds.
Whatever games are coming out, they can say it looks best on this platform. Like they do have that story.
But at the same time, like
I don't know how far that goes.
Sony's going to continue doing its deals for content.
Yeah.
And that's going to and the co-marketing money that comes with that sort of stuff, like you're still going to see third-party publishers talking a lot about PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like Battlefront 2 is, probably going to be a lot of PlayStation talk around that game, right? I mean, I assume. So I think that like things changed a lot in terms of just like first-party relevance and stuff like that, especially out of Microsoft more so than out of Sony. I think Sony's been even-keeled with that stuff, even if I don't necessarily like love a lot of those games. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Xbox One X is like they're out there, they seem extremely happy with the pre-order situation around that console.
Mm.
And I think they are on the level when they say that. I think that thing probably is pre-selling quite well. They just released another batch of them of pre-orders like last week, I think. And the thing I'm curious about is how many of those pre-orders are going to people that will be new to the Xbox family or new to the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And how many of those are people that already were buying Xbox One games upgrading.
Yeah.
Because they have a 4K TV or they really believe in the Xbox brand and all that sort of stuff. Like how many new players are coming to that platform? Because that's the overall health thing that you have to get back to is just straight up software sales. And if they're just selling new Xboxes to existing Xbox One owners, that number's not going to change that much.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's a messy situation that we'll know more about, in 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, when we get out of the holidays or something. But
yeah.
Did you guys pre-order one?
No.
Nope.
I thought for sure I was going to get one of those things, and now I'm totally not sure that
I did.
that I need it. You did?
I did. Yeah. I'm anxious to go back to that platform. Like I've got a lot of people that play on Xbox One.
Yeah. If you got
do
friends there, that's a huge thing.
That is a huge
That's
thing.
big.
I mean, also I do like the play anywhere aspect of being able to hop over to my PC.
Well,
and
so
then
that's
this
what's
as well.
stopping me now.
Gotcha.
Is looking at that thing going, I actually could just play all those first-party games on the PC.
If I was going to play,
totally
I don't have a 4K monitor, I
Yeah.
have a 4K TV, but I have a PC that'll be more powerful than the Xbox One X already.
But I would like something that's at least somewhat on that level. Like a more powerful Xbox is really enticing to me.
You never did the PS4 Pro upgrade, right?
No.
That's a big part of it for me is like, well, I already got one of these half-step consoles. I don't know that I need both of them.
Yeah.
I think as time goes on, the Pro seems to make less and less sense with the way it's been supported or not supported.
Yeah.
Like that stuff's been really spotty.
If the One X takes off, that puts the ball back in Sony's court to.
I don't know, man. I don't think that they need to make a move one way or the other unless the sales story turns around like
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Completely dramatically. It would take that. That's not going to happen. With the price that they're selling this thing at, like maybe they generate some excitement and they'll sell more Xbox One S's as a result of that excitement.
Have they said straight up that all games coming to Xbox One will come to Xbox One X?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it has
so they can't be like
feature bumps
guess
or
what,
something.
Halo 6 is only a One X game.
No, they flat out said that would not happen.
That would be suicide in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
For them to do that. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know if they're necessarily mandating that you support the X in a meaningful way. To developers, if they're out there saying, "Oh, you need to at least hit this baseline with it," or whatever. Like Sony had some stuff about like, "Hey, you need to support the Pro." And it can't have a worse frame rate.
Yeah, but games started violating that
totally
right out of the gate,
almost immediately.
Major games have been shipping with no Pro support whatsoever.
Like, does Destiny do anything relevant?
It super samples.
Okay,
like same frame rate, high, like it runs at 25, whatever.
Yeah.
I super sample when I go to Costco.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I super sample by having 3 turntables instead of 2.
And a microphone?
No microphone.
Okay.
Like I. Random example, Prey stands out in my mind as like it shipped with 0 Pro support whatsoever, and people were very upset about it. And then like a month or 2 after launch,
they had that really shaky.
One of the patches they put out had patch notes that said adds PS4 Pro support,
right.
And like people were like, "Fucking finally!" Like that's kind of a messy situation.
It is, and I don't know if the X will be any better or worse about that aspect of it.
My impression, just from the little bit I've read, is that Microsoft is at least trying to provide the tools to make it more widespread or more consistent. But who knows how it'll actually work in practice.
Yeah,
some teams are small and don't have the resources to juggle that stuff.
Right.
Very well.
But they're also they're out there touting that it is relatively easy to make that jump. So maybe more games will get there than we think.
Yeah.
I hope that their new dashboard really comes together.
That's another big part of it for me is like I like using the PS4 and I don't like using the Xbox One, and that's just kind of not going to change until they do something fundamental.
Yeah, I think that the dashboard changes are an improvement in the beta that I'm in now. Like it's like you look at it and go like, okay, this is better, this is smarter. Like they're getting there, but it still doesn't feel like an easy. Like the 360 was very easy.
Yeah,
I think they still have a lot to juggle in the Xbox One, and they do better at kind of burying the TV stuff a little further back every update or something. But it doesn't like the My Games and Apps. I think you were saying like looking at it that My Games and Apps is still a shitty experience if you want a lot of games.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not great. But just like general responsiveness is not great. Like transition.
What if it was the most powerful console ever?
That's the
then
hope.
maybe it'll transfer.
Maybe they just
so
brute
you're
force.
going to buy one just because it'll be a faster dashboard.
Can't wait for that.
That's all you
dashboard.
want.
That's right.
Oh man.
No. We'll see.
Yeah.
Did you pre-order one?
Not yet.
Yeah. Patrick from Portland. Is Frogger a boy or a girl?
It's a Frogger is a boy frog.
It's a frog
rescuing lady frogs.
Frogger is whatever you want him or her to be.
I think they.
Frogger don't care.
Yeah.
I mean,
Frogger doesn't fall into your labels. Frogger's just trying to get from here to there.
Yeah.
if Jurassic Park has taught us nothing else,
I mean, the song
Life-
Froggy's Lament
life
says,
finds a way.
"Flap your magic twanger, Froggy," and I think that's a pretty clear.
Yeah.
What is
Sure.
gender anyway, though? I mean,
Sure.
let's really get down to.
Yeah.
No, I believe the original Frogger was designed. Boy frog rescuing girl frogs was how they tried to line that thing up.
Fair enough. Chris writes in and said, "Whose fingernail was it? I've been watching this stream with the computer build for the last several hours, and Brad just made the revelation that a fingernail was found on a shelf on the desk.
Yep.
I must know who is clipping their nails at the computer. How have I not noticed during videos? Well, I would assume nobody's doing it on camera.
Yeah, we use the studio outside of recording hours.
Will there be repercussions?
Yeah, that person's.
Like Swift.
I
still have not-
want to make a request, for like a DNA kind of sample.
I wonder if
I don't know if we can legally do that here at CBSI, but I would like to see this culprit brought to justice.
I mean, I think we mentioned somewhere else that people on Twitter just immediately accused Dan.
Well, yeah, that was
unprovoked.
that was my first inkling. I mean, of course, I've seen him clip his nails before in like
Because you
less
said
than
it was
ideal
in a
situations.
spot that like could have very easily been unnoticed.
It was one of the
Yeah.
shelves down. It was like the bottom shelf on the desk, like kind of
But-
back a little bit.
I do spend a lot of time like down on the floor in that area, and I think I would have seen it. Like I see where it is now. I think I would have caught that. And I've been down there, moving furniture, and it's been after Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. He vehemently
wonder-
denied it on Twitter.
Well, of course, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
He could conveniently forget that
Yeah.
He makes up stuff all the time.
All
The
right.
time.
TBD.
I don't believe in. Do we know if it's cut or torn? Did you get a good look at it?
It looked cut.
Looked cut.
Yeah.
So someone would have brought in.
I'm a chewer.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I am a cutter, but
I'll cut her as well, but
I would not.
I never do it like outside of I do it under the faucet. Get the
Oh,
nails
that's
wet
smart.
first so they don't get all.
Interesting.
Anyway,
I do
That's
it in
a
front
good
of my.
technique.
then you clump them up and you throw them out.
Yeah.
I usually do it in front of my computer. That's where I leave the clippers.
Huh.
Because I'm watching TV or something. But also, that's where I keep the clippers.
Uh-huh.
I don't bring the clippers outside of that room.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Don't look at me. Cut your nails in the
Don't
home.
look at
do
me.
it
I don't
after-
have
Like a
fingernails.
civilized person.
Do we have to look at Rory?
Oh, I don't know.
He's kind of the only other.
He spent some time in that studio.
Yeah.
His Steam account
Yep.
is logged in frequently.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We do that DNA thing. I'm down for it.
I don't know. What's the company policy?
Is someone going to taste the nail to see if it has hot sauce on it?
That
boy.
would be a giveaway.
Or popcorn seasoning.
Mhm.
Not me. Not it.
No, because I ate some of it that one time. So that'd be inclusive.
Well, we can narrow it down. I mean,
Okay, yeah. Then it's either me or
And then we
Rory.
can test the size of the nail to the size of the
hold
finger.
it up to
Yeah.
everyone's finger.
If the fingernail fits, you did that shit. I think that's what.
Yep.
That's how that went.
That's the famous saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't judge, man. I've had an errant fingernail fly off. And
Yeah,
you just don't know where the hell it ends up.
It looked way too clipped to me.
What if it got clipped and stuck to your shirt, and then you went into the office?
Yes,
and
that's
it
a
got loose
possibility.
there?
Guys, I think it was Brad.
Fucking
Just by
Dude,
the
he seems to
he's the one who
be-
keeps bringing this up. I
Yeah.
think he's just
the
going
email.
overboard.
The email brought it up.
Yeah, but who chose the
I'm
email?
just here to
Who
read
wrote
the
the
email.
email?
Oh.
Wait, are you saying Chris came in here and clipped his
I'm
fingernails?
saying Chris.
I don't know what you're saying.
I think you know exactly what we're saying.
Uh-huh.
How much light did that fingernail have? Is it fierce?
Is it hard
Like-
capped?
Yeah.
Like 250.
All right.
Scrubbed here. Sean in Seattle. The year is 2018, and CBS, America's Most Watched Network, has just been purchased by the Food Network. As part of the programming expansion,
I think that's how it works.
a new show called The Giant Feast Cast is being developed, starring one of you, who on the roster has the skills to pay Guy Fieri's hair bleach bills?
I
Who cooks?
I cook.
You cook?
I cook.
Yeah. What's your fanciest dish? What is the most ambitious thing you can make?
Most ambitious,
like
and
reliably and well.
I would say, like quiche from scratch.
Okay.
Because the tricky part with it is if you do the crust wrong, it'll crack while you're baking it.
Okay.
And and everything will like melt out through it and basically ruin the whole dish.
Oh, yeah. Are you buying a pie crust or are you making the crust? Wow, that's pretty impressive.
That's the part. Like anyone can go buy a crust and fill it up with junk.
That's okay. You might be a front runner here. I don't know.
I took a culinary class.
That might do it.
And we learned how to make pie crusts.
Yo, this is a feast cast. This is us eating.
I'm also from Guy Fieri's hometown.
I don't.
So.
Oh man,
I don't cook.
No cooking.
I don't cook very well.
Okay.
I got a few things.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, this would be us eating.
I think the cooking show I would want to watch would be someone who has no business cooking following instructions well and having it turn out good or bad, because like as someone who doesn't cook often, but I can sort of follow directions.
Sure.
I would like to watch something that is someone in those shoes so they can come out of it and go like, hey, this one super tricky part where you got to measure a thing. That's the hard part. Everything else, fine. Just follow the instructions. But
they weren't kidding about just like a dash. Oh my God.
Yeah. I feel like every time I've tried to cook something, there always is one moment where it's like,
yeah.
Totally. This maybe is the sketchy part where I might fuck this whole thing up, but it's usually come out fine.
And you can totally like this weekend I made brunch and I fucked up scrambled eggs because the salt shaker poured way too much salt out, and it's just like that can happen to even maybe not the best
even
cooks.
An expert. You're about to say that you were an expert chef,
I cook a lot of eggs though. I would consider myself damn good at cooking eggs, but I can still even like seeing somebody in the middle with somebody who's really good, like trying to explain and
like someone who can have like some kind of expert that is also a good teacher that just kind of stands back and just goes like, all right, just follow the directions. Like they're almost like they're testing out recipes that they're going to send to people through some kind of meals in the mail program or right on the side of a Bisquick box or something. Like, hey, these recipes need to be dumb for people to like get them right every time. That's the level I would be interested in seeing filled in.
If anyone's interested, I was part of a video game themed cooking show once called A La Cartridge, and I believe that's still up there on YouTube.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good name.
It's a good name.
It's not bad.
The name was the best part of it.
That's not bad.
I was the boom operator and some writing.
We did it was mostly Tim. I was going to say Cooking with Tim back in the day.
GameSpot classic.
Yeah, there was like
cooking out of the vending machine.
I was trying to like come up with meals that you could do at the office. Yeah, and it was like making tiramisu out of Twinkies and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like,
That's
which actually came
good.
out all right.
That's right.
Like cocoa powder from the coffee machine.
Was he allowed to use the good machines on 4? They're on 4, right?
Yeah.
Like the hot food machine on
I
4.
don't
Was he
remember.
allowed to get into that?
We only did.
Good vending machine I don't know about?
I think there used to be a hot food machine in this building.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
I
if
don't know
it's still there.
I think we did like 2. I just keep saying we. I was barely involved. I think 2 of those got produced, maybe 3. I met some TV chef over the weekend.
Oh,
but I totally don't remember his name.
So it wasn't Guy.
No, it was. I would remember.
Did you ever eat at Johnny Garlic's or Tex Wasabi's?
I have been inside Tex Wasabi's, and we were drinking. It was just
that was the spot for everyone to go to for prom.
Oh wow,
Tex Wasabi's rock and roll sushi.
I was gonna say that just sounds like some tourist hell.
It's Guy Fieri's,
but it's in Santa Rosa.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Johnny Garlic's was kind of the one that got him off the ground. And you know what? It was good. Like it was.
I never
fine.
ate there. I never.
But yeah, once he really blossomed, he opened a Tex Wasabi's.
Good.
No.
Good.
Yeah. That's.
Go do yourself a favor and look at the menu one time because it's banging.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's the word. Banging.
Peter from Norway. I'm writing in because I saw on IO's website that they are hiring for 2 multiplayer programmers with the task of making their engine capable of multiplayer.
That guy from the Mario 64 is free.
Yep, that's right. The natural question now is, what would a Hitman multiplayer look like? Would it be a co-op game, a race to see who kills the target first, or a cat and mouse-like game? Do you have any suggestions? Maybe an entirely new game with their fresh independence from Square? Will they be afraid to take risks, or will they feel encouraged?
Have we talked about this before? Like how that would?
I think you would do all three of those things.
Yeah.
I think you would build some co-op hits that involve like one of you needs to trigger this thing, and then there's a tight window for someone else to take a shot.
Yeah.
Like that would be good. I think competitive hits where you don't even know who the other hitman is, and you're just like you're both trying to kill the same target.
That'd be really cool.
Ooh, yeah.
100 hitmen.
Yeah.
But they're not trying to kill each other. They're just trying to kill the target.
And then also like a cat and mouse thing of like one person, or you could stagger it where like you've got one person trying to execute a hit while there's an hitman trying to assassinate the hitman.
Was it Assassin's Creed?
Yeah. Their multiplayer was kind of like that.
That was kind of cool.
People seem to be into it.
It was neat.
The thing that would fascinate me about a multiplayer like that is it would require a lot of people to play a game like a computer. Like to look like AI.
Yes. I mean, that's what the Spy Party thing is supposed to be.
Like your
Spy
ability
Party technically still is not out.
Like your ability to imitate like robotic, mechanical, like AI people would be crucial, and that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Or you would try to improve the AI in such a way that you
just have the AI start teabagging.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Yep. Totally lifelike. It kind of sounds like that new game Echo that came out from some former IO people. Did you guys see that?
I've not seen much.
Super curious about it. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I think Vinny played some of it, but like the AI learns from what you do and starts doing the things that you're doing.
Oh, weird.
Like stealth kills and stuff like that. Like they can do the same shit to you that you have been pulling off on them. So sounds like a really interesting concept. The discussion about Virtua On inspired some emails.
Oh boy.
Last week. Because they're making a new one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Brett from Silver Spring doesn't say where.
I was going to say, are these angry emails?
No. Why isn't Virtual On called Virtua On? I had always assumed it was part of the same brand family as Virtua Fighter and Virtua Racing until last week's podcast.
Virtua Cop.
This is especially bothersome because I owned the Saturn home port of the first arcade game and loved it. Is the name derived from something else entirely?
As I understand it, the people that were making the Virtua games were very protective of. It's a clickish. It was a click thing.
Really?
Yeah, it was straight up like, we make the Virtua games. You cannot call your game Virtua.
Wow. Because
we do those.
Huh.
There was somewhat cliquish developers on the
within
Sega.
Within
Sega.
Wow.
That was always the story I heard.
Huh. I just assumed that Virtua On was a little awkward to say, so they added the L to kind of make that easier to pronounce. But
maybe that's the real case. I'd never nailed down anyone to really tell the full story, but that was what I had always heard.
Was that in the like named group era of Sega development, Smilebit and UGA and all that stuff? Or I can't remember. This would have been before.
Virtual On would have come out before that stuff,
Okay.
but I mean AM2 existed.
Yeah.
AM2 was always kind of
like the elite Sega group. Or that was the
I always
impression.
thought of them
that was
that
the
way.
impression they gave off. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, those are the people that made Virtua Fighter.
Yeah. So you could see them being like,
They're on some next level shit.
you can't sit with us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yu Suzuki is like school bully. Wedgies all over the place. Ben from Sydney, Australia wrote in. Do you want to hear a quick summary of a certain magical index?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the manga that
Yes.
new Virtual On game is.
Yes. Jeff talked about the upcoming Virtual On game last week that is a crossover with the A Certain Magical Index series. As a fan of the original novels and anime, I thought I'd give a brief summary of the events to enhance, your experience of the game.
Lay it on me.
There are spoilers for anyone wanting to read the books, which are being published in English.
Okay.
Spoilers.
I'll be okay.
All right.
Any way to get more anime on this podcast?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Choke it down. A Certain Magical Index is set in a version of our world where two types of people with supernatural abilities exist. Espers are able to use a single type of supernatural ability, like controlling electricity or teleporting, while magicians can use a range of natural powers, but have to chant words or prepare rituals to do so.
Lame.
The protagonist has the ability to nullify any supernatural thing he touches with his right hand, which is a very useful ability that lets him fight lots of evil espers and magicians. All this culminates in World War III being fought between the Roman Catholic Church, France, and the Russian Federation on one side,
I knew it.
and the United Kingdom, the English Anglican Church, and an independent city-state of espers on the other. St. Peter's Basilica is blown up in a fight with the Pope. The Eurotunnel is bombed. A cruise missile destroys Buckingham Palace. Dover Strait is frozen solid. And a giant flying fortress made of holy relics is destroyed over Russia. I've skipped some events, and this is only a summary of Season 1 of the novels. But I hope this answers any question about what this thing is.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the game then is going to incorporate the Esper or magician. Will there be Esper type mechs and magician type mechs?
I just want to know if the Pope is going to get his own mech suit,
right,
or not.
Yeah, I wonder because the game is a crossover that I think brings some characters in, but I doubt they'll lean heavily into that shit.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
Maybe they will. I don't know. That'd be fucking Pope in a mech.
It's good.
That sounds ridiculous and fun. I'm kind of curious about that game now.
Eric Pope in a mech.
That's right. No, now we're really talking. Yeah. That's a deal that needs to be made. Let's see. Hamster wrote in. To this day I don't know his name, but you may know him from the Hamster Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yes. For a sec, I thought you were saying Japanese.
No, not that Hamster.
Publisher.
This is Hamster with a 3.
Okay, got it.
Famous for making a whole bunch of awesome motion graphics for the site over the years for Extra Life and stuff like that.
Definitely.
He does some top shelf work. The discussion about self-checkout and Amazon Smart Store made me want to share that I was at a Sam's Club recently and had the option of checking out on my phone, which I think is way better than the usual self-checkout routine. You just scan the barcodes with your phone as you put them in your cart, then check out through the app, after which the app gives you a barcode for the person at the exit.
There we go.
It's nice not having to mess around with the self-checkout machines or wait for one to be available when the store is busy. It looks like they've rolled this scan and go thing out at select Walmarts too.
Huh.
I don't know, man. Just go through a normal checkout line.
Just talk to a human being.
Just do it.
Just talk to a person.
Just stand there, grab a pack of gum because it looks good, read a couple headlines on a trashy magazine.
Read the tabloids. And don't buy them.
Yeah, don't buy them. And then make 15 seconds of small talk with the person behind there who's like a mom or something, or dad, or an uncle,
or a college kid.
Yeah, and just chat with them for a couple seconds. Help them out with bagging if there's not a bag boy around, and be on your way. I think nothing wrong with that.
The part where maybe some of that stuff might break down for me is that bagging in this state anyway, or maybe it's just this area, not the whole state, but bagging has become super terrible because they have started now that they're charging for bags.
Yes,
they're charging 10 cents for a bag. Per bag.
I've gotten better about eyeballing my thing and being like, I'm gonna need 3 bags.
Yeah. But also when you are going through a checkout and a person is bagging up your stuff, they now feel like that they want to use as few bags as possible.
Yes.
So they're overloading bags. I've had multiple bags rip in the parking lot and all this sort of stuff. Or cases where if you bring your own bag, which is what they're trying to encourage you to do.
That's what we started doing.
I would rather, because I reuse the bags. When we get bags, I reuse them for recycling and all this other stuff. Like I'd rather
have
more
bags.
You get some tote bags. Some nice cloth bags.
Well, the thing is they overstuff those too, and you end up with bags that are either too heavy or it's just like stuff's getting crushed and squished, and it's like a worse experience than it was before they started charging for bags.
Yes,
that's a little separate from the self checkout issue. But when I go to self checkout, I can go like, I'm gonna need fucking 8 bags because I don't want all my shit getting fucked up. Or like this scan and go thing would be a similar type idea. And I hate the checkout process now because bagging has become such an erratic thing. That's my story.
It's a very California problem.
It's just dumb. I went to a goddamn convenience store last night and got like 3 armfuls full of things. We got like a lot of drinks. We got a fountain drink. We needed eggs and some other stuff that it's kind of a lot of shit. But because people are coming through there getting like a 6-pack of beer and like 1 thing, 2 things, they don't even ask about the bag.
Yeah.
They're just like, they assume no one needs a bag. So the transaction ended and before I could go like, yo, I need a bag. It was like, I'd already paid him.
Already rang you up.
30 cents.
Can't have a bag.
Like, okay. And then I'm like awkwardly like carrying eggs and all this other stuff out of the car. I'm going to drop all this shit. And I made it, but it's just like the amount. I would like to see the cost breakdown in terms of like money they're making off of selling fucking bags, which some places don't charge for them anymore. I don't know if the law changed a little bit.
I say most places do.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere I go still charges.
It seems
also erratic. I don't know where that money's
to offset
going.
the tax, the plastic bag. Like there was the weird tax.
Yeah,
it's to offset taxes.
I forget where that money actually goes.
Yeah,
like I forget if it's the local government collecting it.
But all our places went paper, and now suddenly they're doing plastic again as an option, which I thought was not supposed to be the thing.
A lot of places are dispensing of plastic bags.
Yeah, but like the Safeway in my area went back. Like they were paper only for like a year and a half, like multiple years, I think. And then now suddenly they're like, "Yo, we got plastic bags." Like, wait, what?
I don't know, man.
It's a bag revolt taking place.
I bet it's led to a lot of wasted time and wasted efficiency such that it probably does not work out in the end.
That's government. That's government.
That's government,
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Highly imperfect. But at least they're trying. Kevin, is Yoshi a Pokemon? Let's look at the facts.
Here's the fact. No.
Eats berries, hatches from an egg.
So do I.
Says his own name.
So do I.
Evolves.
Doesn't evolve. He's still the same Yoshi. It just
he holds the shell in his mouth.
He like turns red and
but
spits fireball.
It's not a different Yoshi.
So
Chari
it's a type of Yoshi.
But if you do get the tiny Yoshis and feed them the fruits that make them evolve into full Yoshi.
That's
I think those are just baby Yoshis.
Yeah, and they're just growing up fast because they ate too much food. That's how it worked out for me.
Also, you can't ride a Pokemon. That's illegal.
Yeah. I thought there were some legendaries that get ridden.
I mean,
legendary Pokemon?
Yeah.
They'll give you a ride, but not like
Lugia.
You don't ride them. You know what I mean?
That's a purple Pokemon. That's what you're saying?
Basically.
Yeah.
You can put the +5 mod on there.
Yeah. But I feel like, there's the ones that are the big-ass Pokemon. I think they get
Lapras,
ridden.
you ride a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't jump off a Pokemon and plummet it to its death. That is frowned upon. You can do that to a Yoshi.
Yeah. In the trainer community, they generally don't like it if you are just murdering Pokemon left and right.
Plus, Yoshi has no weaknesses or strengths other than being weak to all the same shit that Mario is.
Yoshi isn't grass type, he's ass type.
All right, there you have it.
It's because his tongue is so long.
Happy 500 episodes, everyone.
Yeah. It's all been building up to this moment.
Finally, the story can be told. All right. Let's do 2 more emails.
All right.
3. Yeah. I'll just throw this out here because we talked about it earlier. Emil from the Netherlands said, "Why is Super Mario Odyssey not called Super Mario Moonshine?"
Because they don't want to call it anything close to Sunshine.
Just going to let that hang in the air.
Multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Don't link it to Sunshine.
I don't think the question was serious.
Don't link it to the alcohol.
I'm just going to let that hang in the air.
Yeah.
Chad from Connecticut. Is lasagna a casserole? I was at a family dinner recently, and the conversation started getting political and heated. To change the subject dramatically and keep the peace, I posed that question. It made things so much worse. Turns out my family has really strong feelings about Italian food. Thoughts?
What is a casserole?
I don't know. What defines a casserole?
I don't have a good answer to that question.
I don't know.
We were not a casserole.
It goes in. Oh man, we've ate the fuck out of casseroles.
Yeah.
Or is it a hot dish?
Oh, I don't know.
If you're from the
what's
Midwest.
the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a casserole and a hot dish?
They're the same thing, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Depends on who you talk to. But I mean, really, it's like a mixture of stuff.
I don't think I've ever
Where
eaten
lasagna is
casserole.
like a layered kind of thing,
lasagna
right?
has a structure.
Yeah.
Is casseroles
like a
thrown
cake.
together?
No,
Usually kind of
depends
thrown
on the
together with
casserole.
maybe like a topping, you know?
Some like
You got your
crispy
mac and cheese
onions
kind of stuff.
on
Yeah,
top.
sure. There we go.
Yeah, green bean casserole.
Yeah, so
Broccoli-
I know what
broccoli
green
casserole.
bean casserole is, but that's about it in terms of casseroles.
Yeah, man.
Is it just like you threw a bunch of shit in a dish and baked it?
That's definitely more structured than that, but yes.
But not as much structure as
Basically.
lasagna.
Not as much structure.
Lasagna is closer to cake than it is casserole.
That's not true at all.
It's layered.
Is there such a thing as a dessert lasagna?
You can have
Yeah,
cake that is
some
not
probably some
layered.
like mascarpone and like
That's a dessert that happens to be in the shape of lasagna, though.
Well,
That's not.
I'm saying it's still probably got the noodles. You got noodles, mascarpone, and then like some sort of chocolate sauce.
And spicy beef.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, now we're talking. Probably not. Let's say it's not. That's my feeling.
Yeah, lasagna is better.
Have you guys
I don't
ever
know.
been?
No.
I don't know that I have. I don't know that I have an opinion. I'm not. We were not a huge lasagna home either.
Have you guys ever been to Italian Homemade Company here in the city?
What?
No.
Go there.
What is
Get
that?
the lasagna.
That sounds good.
They have lasagna.
All right.
There's a few of them.
Yeah.
We'll talk after this.
We're gonna have to research this. Yeah.
Last email. It's also about food. It's from Colin in St. Paul, Minnesota.
All right.
He eats hot dish.
Probably.
Yeah.
Very likely. I'm sitting in my car inhaling a 10-piece chicken McNugget meal with an ice-cold Coke Zero while I listen to the latest Bombcast.
Now you're living.
My McNuggets are perfectly hot and scrumptious, but my fries are lukewarm.
Sounds like a typical trip to the McDonald's.
If you had to choose, would you rather eat cold fries or cold nuggets?
Cold nuggets.
The other half of
nuggets.
the value meal would be
Who the
cooked to
fuck buys
perfection.
like a 10 nugget meal? Because the 20 is like 50 cents more,
Wait, really?
or like 5 cents more. Or some
Get
shit
in.
like that.
Get the fuck in.
Are those the denominations now, 10 and 20?
Yeah.
Didn't it used to be?
There's six.
There's like a
There's
kid's
six,
meal.
eight.
You know, there's
Six.
4, there's 6, 10, 20.
Okay.
Right?
Are you just
Yeah.
are you just crazy if you get anything less than the 20?
Yeah, like my wife gets the 10 all the time. She's like, "That's all that I'm gonna eat." I'm like, "I would eat your extra nuggets.
Yeah,
like,
right.
pay
You
the
can't-
5 cents.
Can't have enough extra
Give me
nuggets.
10 nuggets."
It's an economy of scale that we're talking about.
Damn
At
it.
some point,
It's
they,
like why
they,
you
they
always
started.
get the big pizza.
Yeah. They started doing 20 nuggets for $5, and that disrupted the McNugget economy.
Yep.
Nugget disruption.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cold McDonald's fries are the worst.
Yeah, those are not.
I mean, all cold fast food French fries are bad.
Yeah.
And McDonald's might be on the better end of cold, but they're still
Cold
not.
fries leave a film on the roof of your mouth that you don't want any part of.
No.
It's just bad fucking.
They get-
food.
Whereas like a
They
cold nugget, you can still dunk that and mask it a little bit.
I have purchased 20 McNuggets, eaten 10, and then gone back and eaten 10 out of the fridge later.
Yep.
Sometimes I heat them up, but you know what? They're actually okay directly out of the fridge.
They're all right.
Cold chicken, still okay.
Yeah.
Fries also have the problem of getting soggy as they get cold.
Yeah, it's
Like, they're just
disgusting.
mushy.
The
Ugh.
breading on a McNugget can get a little awkward
Yeah.
as well if we want to get into sogginess, but it's still totally fine.
Cold fries, borderline inedible.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not just some point it ceases being food.
It's just gross. Ugh. All right. Emails.
Ugh.
Bombcast@chinabomb.com. That's how we should play this. We should always include a gross food email somewhere in there.
Yeah, right before lunch.
Because we eat
Right before lunch.
We eat lunch so late on this thing,
Yeah.
or after this thing. Keep the appetite at bay.
Mm-hmm.
I got my lunch in arm's reach.
Yeah. You
That seems even
wow,
worse.
wait, you brought it in. Where did that come? You just pulled a sandwich out from under the table.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a sandwich.
Tell me about your table
I know,
sandwich.
right?
Did you make
It's
that?
a pita. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bread is not looking.
This is from my joint down a couple blocks.
Yeah.
But I love how
That's
they
a-
package their sandwiches.
That is a hell of a sandwich.
Right?
I might have to
It's
follow
the
up
house
with you
special.
on that. That looks kind of incredible. You guys have gotten
Very
good at eating
excited.
very quickly because
On Tuesdays, yes.
you convene another live show like what 10 minutes after this.
Yeah, kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
Maybe soon.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna try to eat between this or just eat after, which I think last week I ate after, and regretted
some
it.
of my
Yeah,
kettle
that
chips.
gets you into the territory where like you're just like I should just tough it out to dinner at this point. Like
Never.
4 o'clock lunch is just like
I've eaten many 4 o'clock lunches, followed by 8 o'clock dinners.
okay, sure.
If that's how it has to go.
If you're willing to go late, then yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't get home till 8 most
Okay,
days,
okay,
so
yeah.
it's 7 or 8 somewhere around there.
Sure. All right. Well, this has been the 500th edition of the Giant Bombcast.
Let's do 500
Thanks
more.
for listening. All right. Yeah.
But not 501 more. What do you say?
All right.
All right.
I think I can probably hang with that.
Yeah.
You should tell people to tune in tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We're going to take a stab at the Destiny raid.
8
All staff.
8
Yeah.
a.m.
Which is a huge improvement
Pacific.
over the other 2 raids we've done, which were just like me and you and random people we knew.
Austin was in one of them.
Austin did join was he there for the whole thing though? Because I talked to him about that recently and I couldn't remember if he
Joined
I
late.
don't
Or,
think so.
Or was he there?
Yeah.
maybe he was there for the whole thing and then Kessler joined at the end.
Kessler joined
I
at
think
the end.
that's how that. Maybe Austin was there for the whole thing. then. You're right.
Maybe.
You're right.
and Steve? Is Steve there for the whole thing? Or was he
Maybe.
there for part of it?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
Anyway,
now we got
like,
8.
this is it's a 6.
6.
Yeah.
Now we got 6.
But yeah, like we fucking the whole staff is playing the shit out of this game, so we were like, let's just get everybody together and do this.
Yeah.
It should be a thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it
looking
goes.
forward to seeing how it goes down.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in my underwear the whole time.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Dan to see it because he is into Destiny in a way I never would have expected.
Yeah, man.
But I don't think he knows what he's in for.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never done a raid,
yeah.
so
It's-
I'm excited.
It's going to be fun.
Dan's fun to play co-op with.
Yeah. And on that note,
level 2 helmet.
All right, we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned if you're watching live for the call-in show after this.
Yeah, the after show, which we'll think of a name for.
I think this week is technical difficulties with
Ben and Jeff.
Yep. We'll do that Destiny raid. We got a bunch of other stuff to record later in the week.
Yep.
So yeah, we got one of those Super Nintendo tiny ones in here. Maybe we'll do something with that. Try to play that Star Fox 2.
Bunch of indie games out and stuff. So yeah, see you later in the week for more stuff.
Yeah.